Yes, brother.
All right, assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. I'm good. So
Now we can
basically,
officially start.
basically, I saw you maybe 2 months ago, and
Yep.
the first video I saw of you was you were talking about flat Earth, and I was like, wow. And the way you were talking about it, I was quite like astonished because the kind of substance you had put in your book, like that relating to the old previous civilizations and all, that made me think. I was like, yeah, everybody's like, oh, Egypt was marvelous, this, that, but then they don't agree on this fact that they think that they were wrong in that. Wow, that's
That's the thing. Yep.
yeah,
Because if you deny flat Earth, if you repudiate flat Earth as a foolish doctrine, as something stupid, you repudiate the whole of human civilization and all of your ancestors and your heritage, because they all knew the Earth was flat and stationary. From the most minuscule civilizations to the great grand empires, they all knew this. This was common knowledge.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so the main reason I approached you is because like I have a channel. I think you saw it.
Yeah, I took a look at it.
Yeah, so I'm not like actually propagating flat earth or anything. I'm just talking about stuff that's like obscure and why people are not paying attention to it. So I'm getting towards flat earth in a very like a very slow pace. So my audience gets prepared for what I'm going to put in front of them in a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're just starting interesting conversations.
Yeah, basically.
Actually, if you could let my audience know, Lord willing, like kind of what's your name, what you're about, because they probably don't know. Just give them a little bit of
Yeah.
a brief rundown.
Sure. Are you recording at this
Yeah,
point?
yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, so I also plan to record you. So, can you share this with me later on?
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Okay, fine. So you want me to you want to know my background or something?
Yeah, name, background, I guess just important things to know
Okay,
about you,
fine.
interesting things.
My name is Asif Khan. I'm basically Pakistani origin, and I've been
Okay.
in the UK for like 12 years since 2012.
Okay.
And I basically belong to like a middle class family, but my uncle was quite famous, like world renowned famous. So I got exposed to like modernity, like what you can say, back in the
Okay.
1990s and stuff. So I was exposed to a lot of stuff which was not like general population doesn't get exposed to. And then my approach towards religion and spirituality was not that much because like in our age we had Nintendo and Sega and all of those things, right? But
Right.
as soon as I was growing up, like when I crossed my school education, then my parents had a divorce, so my mom moved to UK and I moved with her. So
Okay,
before
kind of
that,
similar story to me a little bit as well. Yeah.
yeah, well, to be honest, like a lot of the generation we are in, we have faced this stuff, and the
Yeah.
next generation that is going to come is facing something entirely different, which
Yeah.
has a lot of things like LGBTQ and AI and social media and individuality in a very weird dark sense. Basically, it's like you
Yeah.
it's like I think in the coming future we both will be able to like virtually be in a room, sitting in a room while you and I'm in UK and you're in Canada, and we will be
Holographic
sitting in,
style.
yeah, like that kind of thing. That's coming for sure. So anyways, back to my story. Before coming to the UK in 2012, since 2002 and up till 2012, like I got exposed to music and I got exposed to drugs, and that kind of like when you start taking substances, that kind of cuts you off from that sheep line that's going. Although I'm not going to say that, oh, doing drugs is something that you should do in order to experience a difference, but that's how it happened to me. So it's like when you're walking in a sheep line and then you suddenly get tripped and you fall off and you're like, oh my god, I missed my position, I need to go back. And then
Yeah. It
I
certainly
saw,
makes you not a normie anymore when you do these substances, even though it may not be the best way, but it
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah,
it, it does put you on the not so heavily trodden path.
exactly. But I'll tell you another thing, like how I've seen it in my experience. We are getting drugged from like since since the time we wake up till the time we sleep, even while we're sleeping. Why? Because we are fully surrounded by chemicals.
Yeah,
man-made
yeah.
things, and all of these chemicals are giving us some sort of a programming in the brain, because our brain accepts chemicals like programs. So even the foods that we consume, even the air that we breathe, naturally has a lot of elements. All the minerals have a different sort of an aspect to them. That's why Allah Subhanahu wa Taala talks about hadid in the Quran in a very special way. Why? Because iron is has got properties which is extraterrestrial, but it has the same elements in our hemoglobin, in our what do you call it, in our blood. You
Yeah,
see.
iron is like a miracle substance.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So then what happened to me was I got into music and all of that. So my aspect about life changed, and I used to be with friends who were like a bit like Salafi sort of, yeah. And we used to
Okay.
debate which years and this and that. So I was just like having fun, and I wasn't such a devout, like a worshipper you would call. So then in 20, before coming to London, like 2 years ago in 2010, I got exposed to LSD and stuff. Then the whole aspect changed. Then I kind of became like a yogi or something. So when
Yeah.
I got here in 2012, I started living with my mom, and because I got acquainted to psychedelics, my energetic body got aware of something which people are not. Like, I think people like me are like maybe 20-25% in the world that can feel things, like even feel vibes and intentions and spirits, and which are called empaths in the new generation world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, these are sensory apparatuses beyond our five senses. God talks about them in the Quran. God talks
Exactly.
about the heart.
Yeah.
The hearts upon the hearts are locks and things like that. It's not just poetic speech. I thought this was poetic before, but it's really there is an ethereal sense within our heart beyond just the five senses.
Very
We
true.
can people talk about vibes. This person's
Yeah,
vibes. It
yeah,
ain't it. It's
yeah,
off. This you're talking about this ether sense.
yeah, exactly. So what happened was when I came to London, then because London had 4G and London had a lot of chemicals which my country, Pakistan, doesn't have. Like
Yeah.
now they might have, because a lot of traveling and a lot of things are getting imported and all of that. But when I came here, I started sensing things which were beyond. Like I couldn't even explain to people that I was like associating with, and they used to.
Did you come from the Pind or from just some
No,
a
no,
city?
I'm from Karachi. I've been
Karachi.
around
Okay.
pollution all the time, but
Okay. Okay.
I kind of like abused my body a lot, and due to that I was facing consequences in my life. But I always had this separate kind of a feeling that every smell, every place, every person would make me feel in a different way. It's like I would connect to them without my consent. I don't know
Okay.
how to explain this.
You would
My
develop a channel like a link.
it's like my soul or something, my energetic body would connect to them. And it's like I could feel their emotions. If they're sad, I'll feel sad. If they're happy, I'll feel happy. So all my life, I've had tons of friends. And I just like maybe like a year ago just realized that I have been living them all my life. When I separated myself from everybody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me an illness. And just like Hazrat, who's that? Hazrat Ayub in the Quran, the guy who got sick, and Allah subhanahu
Yeah.
wa ta'ala,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The fish spit or the it's I don't know what kind of the beast this was, but some the beast it spit him out, and then he was sick, and
No, no, that
God
was
caused
that
a
was
gourd to grow over him.
that was Hazrat Yunus. That's Jonah. I'm talking about
John,
Ayub.
oh my mistake.
The
Ayub, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. My
Yeah,
mistake. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I when I separated myself, then I started realizing a lot of things, and then I found out that, oh my God, I have been people all my life. So when I separate myself, I can be me, and my whole thought process kind of assimilates. But when I'm around people, and it's like if their dominant energy is too dominant, my subconscious mind will automatically start, accepting them. It's like the Stockholm syndrome, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
When in Stockholm they were taken hostage, and some women, they fell in love with them, so they even had sexual intercourse with them, and they try to help them escape.
You acclimatize to your environment. And
Yes.
you assimilate into it. As much as this is something I talk about on my channel too, that as much as we think we are free thinkers and smart, and perhaps we are, maybe smarter than the average person, maybe more intelligent, but the people that we're around, the environment that we're around, it will have its effect on us, and we will assimilate, whether to a greater or lesser extent.
Guaranteed. So since 2016, I got I didn't get diagnosed, but I was feeling very ill, and I started doing research, and then I kind of disconnected myself because I was doing a job which I could do from home. So I disconnected myself from everybody, and I just did that job like in a tunnel vision style. But then I
Right.
learned herbalism, I learned sound healing, I learned how to use crystals and all of that stuff. So the things that was happening to me in life, I was getting challenges, and every time I used to cry to Allah, "Oh, please, can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me?" And things would appear in seconds, in minutes, in hours, or in days, or in weeks. And I was like, wow. But every time, bro, every time something would come up, it would not resonate with the traditional Islamic narrative
Right.
and the hadith structure and all of that. And that kind of got me demonized, and people started thinking I'm doing shirk and this and that. I'm like, no, I'm just a scientist. I'm just, because I'm a herbalist. So I'm like, no, and they would never understand any of that. So I was like,
Yeah.
I kind of
They
so
have a very rigid framework that they operate in, you know?
Yeah. So the bottom line was that last year, around maybe same time, maybe 10 months ago, I kind of was about, I wasn't leaving Islam, but I believed in Allah. But I came to a point that I was like, I better just pursue what I'm feeling, as in, you know what I mean? And then I was getting into the alien theory and all of that because I used to be in sci-fi and science and all of that. So I started believing that, oh, maybe some Anunnakis actually came and all of that. And I was thinking maybe it's kind of resonating. I was in a flux of confusion. And then
Yeah.
subhanallah, what happened in January? I lost my job. So for 4 months, when I got the same job back today, and just like a couple hours ago, and it's
That's
subhanallah
good.
strange. But what happened in those 4 months? I found the Quran alone, people, and then I found
Okay.
out that the Quran is talking about some sort of a storyline of the earth, which very much is like a Disney or a Hollywood movie, but it's really happened. So the Disney
Oh
and
yeah.
Hollywood is kind of
Well,
extracting all that.
there you go. That's more accurately worded. Really, this earth and the human experience, the human
Yeah,
story, it's a saga that God has created. Everything according to a beautiful, brilliant plan. And
yeah,
they extract these themes and motifs and philosophies and ideas and they put them into their movies, which is why these Disney movies are addicting.
exactly.
Because
Okay.
they resonate with something within us and something within the heavens and the earth.
Do you know about Igor Sola
Oh,
Quran?
yeah, him and I, we meet each other almost every weekend.
Oh wow! Because he
He's in
he
my
also
city.
he also mentioned you in a I've been following like crazy because he spoke about these things, and when I heard these things, bro, literally I'm not joking. I saw his documentaries 2 3 times about the Makkah series, and in one part I literally was in tears in a way that I was like, oh my God, all these things. I use the lodestone. I live in the UK. I study moss. Okay, I know about a lot of things that he was talking about, and in my mind, I used to always think that why is Islam so dry? It doesn't have color because I'm from the psychedelic world. I've seen vibrancy. I used to make a psychedelic trance. I used to paint and all of that stuff. So I was like, why is
You've kind of seen what limitlessness looks like to a certain extent.
Exactly. And today, the live stream he did, bro, he spoke about some things that I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Because he said that Allah says that in an ayah that we showed Ibrahim alayhi salam, like the sun disappeared behind a curtain, and he spoke about that. And then this thing came to my mind. I need to talk to you
Yeah.
about this. So, enough of my story. I hope you got the whole gist of it.
Yeah. I got a decent
Now,
understanding.
my question to you is, how come you came upon all this understanding? Give me a little back. Although people know about your background in your videos, but I want to know how come, what happened to you.
So my journey, like how I came to where I am today.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so it starts with so ever since I was a kid, as long as I can remember, I've always had an inclination towards higher order questions in life. Who am I? Where am I going? What's my purpose? And I never cared about the material goods and all the things that I saw people pretty much killing themselves over. I didn't care. The money, the big home, as long as I had food in my belly and a place to call a home, just a roof over my head so I'm not sleeping on the streets, I'm fine. I've always been primarily concerned with higher order principles in life. And of course, naturally, I was brought up in this religion of Islam. And my My experience is a little bit different. So my mother and father, they're pretty much separate now, but for the most part of my life until I was 17, 18, they were together. And my dad, he's quite, I love the man, of course, I have nothing but respect for him, but he's quite secular. He doesn't seem to think about these things so much. He just goes to work, comes home, watches his TV, has a good meal, goes to bed. And my mom, she does have this inclination towards God. And the thing is, the Islam I was taught was I was never given much hadith. My mom, she always kind of knew that the hadith was wrong. Even her father was like that as well. He was openly critical of the hadith in Pakistan. But she didn't realize that a lot of the practices she was doing comes from hadith without knowing. So like the 5 daily prayers. And over time, she shed those things off. But that was kind of what I was raised in. I was raised in a lot of Sunni practices. I was raised in a lot of, without her realizing it, reciting Arabic. I have to do this namaz in a language I don't know. What am I doing? Yeah. And, this didn't satisfy my desire for God. I had, like, for another example I'll give you is, I would always have to read the Quran with my mom since I was a kid. She would teach me, read it in Arabic. And I told, I wasn't like one of these kids like, oh, I just want to go outside and play with my friends. I said, no, Mama, I don't mind reading the Quran with you. I just want to read it in English, in a language I understand. So I had an appetite for God. I just didn't, this religion was getting in the way of it, having to read it in Arabic and do all these things.
Yeah.
So this eventually led me to breaking away from Islam for the longest while. And I was just searching, talking to Christians, talking to Jews, talking to New Age hippie people, all kinds of people. And as I was studying various scriptures, the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, I started to realize that this religion that I was taught since I was a kid, it has no connection with this book. This book really does teach me how to satisfy that spiritual hunger I have towards God. I just need to separate it from the religious paradigm. So then, right around 13, 14 years old, I took my formal oath. I said, I'm going to follow this book, Lord willing, till the day I die. And ever since then, I've just been a student of it.
MashaAllah, so it's been like more than a decade.
Yeah, I would say so. About a decade.
Okay, subhanAllah.
I'm 23 now, yeah.
MashaAllah, 23, subhanAllah. I'm 39.
You're 39?
When I saw your video, basically I was checking you out, and because I didn't get confirmed about flat earth as being real until I watched Igor, because the way, mashallah, I'm serious, he should be like a professor in a Quran alone university.
He's incredible. He's incredible. I look up to him as a big example. May God bless that man.
Inshallah, mashallah, inshallah. Ameen. So actually what happened was, my question was, when you read Bhagavad Gita and all these other books, did you find any similarities with the Quran? Any way?
I did.
Except the behavior and habitual things that a human should do, like don't steal, don't lie. What other thing did you find, like in a connection way to the spiritual world?
Well, the thing is, I read these books long ago, and I want to revisit them again, so it's a little hazy in my memory. Mm-hmm. But one thing I can tell you, which is something I put in my book, is that they all teach a flat and stationary Earth. That's in line with the Quran. Definitely. Yeah. They all, you can go to that section in my book where I talk about the books all around the world, where the Iliad, the Odyssey, the Bhagavad Gita, all these things, the Vedas, they all speak about the heavens as a solidified structure. They speak about the earth as an extended plane. There's no concept of the earth moving at all. It's always the heavens that are revolving around us. You even see, whenever it does talk about the earth moving, it's always chaotic, like some kind of cataclysm, some apocalyptic event. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that they definitely have in line with the Quran. They all teach the same standard model.
Wow. Okay, so I don't know if you're into Game of Thrones and all of that stuff, but just for educational purposes,
yeah,
they have wall there, and they have a connection with the north. They have a big wall there, right? And they've got dragons in there. And today when Igor was talking about Hazrat Yunus, and he talked about al-Hut, yeah? Now the Arabs call Hut as in a fish, but in all ancient like cultures and all, they have dragons. And al-Hut, he was saying, could be a dragon-looking thing, because if dragon is something, look, the way I saw the connections, that everything is connected. So if dragon is literally something, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it and it's not a like an imaginary thing, but it could look different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is
The
your
thing
take
that
on that?
the thing that Brother Igor told me, which got me thinking, so I've been primed to the subject of the existence of dragons. Perhaps they could exist now. Maybe they were mainly destroyed in the modern era with industrial technology, but certainly I believe these aren't fantasy. These things existed at least at one point, maybe even now. And it's because he mentioned how if you look at the Chinese zodiac wheel, you
Mm-hmm.
see all the animals, like, so there's a rat and there's
Yeah,
a chicken or
yeah,
whatever,
pig and
it's
all
all,
that.
yeah, yeah, it's in one of the animals on the wheel is a
It's a
dragon.
dragon.
And
Yeah.
it just makes you think, okay, so all the animals are
Are
real
real?
except for this one they made up for they didn't
Yeah,
see this, right?
exactly, exactly,
Why did they include this in a mosaic of animals that we all know are real, like roosters and that kind of thing?
Okay, so I actually haven't read your book, The Flat Earth Manifesto, and inshallah, I'll give it time because I must congratulate you on your literature. Your literature is amazing, mashallah.
Thank you,
Like
brother.
the
All
words you
thanks goes
use
to
and all
God.
of that, because it literally makes you think that some professor wrote it. And 23-year-old, I must say that's an achievement, mashallah.
I
Okay,
appreciate it. All thanks
okay.
goes to God.
Of course, indeed, indeed. So, in your opinion, I mean, not our opinion, as in that's what the Quran says, and how we've analyzed it, that the Earth is flat. Okay, so
Yes.
what do you think? Like, is the main agenda for them to hide it? Why are they hiding it from us? And how come they have shown us a spherical, like a picture? Whenever somebody goes to space, they say, "Oh, look at the curve! Look at the curve!" Well, I think that's the terrarium that you spoke of in your video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why do you think they're hiding it?
Well, I guess for people who watch you or maybe they tune into your channel, whether they're coming from a Quranic background or a biblical background, we all accept the existence of Satan, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, he exists. And what do you think? And if the hereafter is at stake based on these things, what do you think Satan's most uh, passionate interest would be? Obviously, separating us from our Creator, separating us from the
Exactly.
Source, from the
Yeah.
divine God, right? The thing
Yeah.
that gives us all of our goodness. And Satan, he will attack us from every angle to separate us from God. And one of those angles is to teach us a cosmology which makes everything arbitrary. So if you look at the globe Earth model, they tell you the Earth occupies no special place in the creation. It's just
Yeah.
in this. It's this little speck in this insignificant corner in the universe, in the middle of nowhere. All
Yeah.
those stars, they're billions of suns, millions of miles
Yeah.
away with
Yeah.
other Earth-like planets. There's nothing special about us. We blew up out of nowhere. That's the reason why this stuff
Uh-huh.
is taught. Because if we accept that Satan exists and we accept the people who run this world are influenced by Satan, Satan is trying to take away from our mind the grand cosmic perspective that God wants us to know. Because if you
Exactly.
understand the flat earth model, everything is moving. We're in the center. We are stationary. Everything is going around us. Clearly, this place was obviously intelligently designed. Somebody put us here in the center. He doesn't want you to know that because asking those kinds of grand cosmological questions will inevitably lead you to your creator. That's the
Exactly.
reason.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what do you think about these technological centers like HARP? Do you know HARP?
I've heard about it. I looked into it maybe when I was around 15, 16 years old. These people, they claim to be able to manipulate the weather.
Because like the way I see it, uh, I just don't know how the deception is actually working. Is because when a lot of the astronauts, they're trying to debunk the problems that NASA have, right? And they never disclose these things. I don't know why. It's like everybody's being shut off like that. Is everybody being like, oh, you have to sign to that? Because they disclose a lot of things, but a lot of times I think it's also they've been lied to as well. Like they are disclosing another lie, a lie on top of a lie.
There's tiers of propaganda.
Exactly,
Even
like the
even like
layers
WikiLeaks
of
and
an onion.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep, 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 yep. Okay. What
My
was it?
thoughts on HARP, I want to quickly say, is honestly, obviously, these people have incredible capabilities. They have very potent weapons that can do a lot of damage. But Personally, I think that's a hoax. I don't believe they have the ability to control the weather. I think they want to scare you with that because when I read the Quran, coming at it from a scriptural perspective, it's very clear that only God has the ability to bring down the rains and cause earthquakes and level entire cities with natural disasters. This is the preserve of God, and I don't think these people can annex that power from our Lord. Yeah, they have powerful weapons, but I think they try to scare you a little with this
You,
weather control. They can't control the weather. That's God's thing.
that's true. So what's your take on chemtrails? What is that?
Chemtrails, I haven't looked too deeply into it, but I can see that they're obviously spraying something
Yeah,
upon
and
us
and
over the
there's
sky.
so many like some like the days the sun is out. Oh my God, they make like a whole. Sometimes, okay, one day I was having a debate with a brother about hadith and all of that, and we had a very funny, heated discussion. And when we looked up, they literally made like a geometrical, like a sigil of some magic with those
Oh, some
plain
kind of like
lines.
had some kind of hex or whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that looks like from that anime, and the guy was laughing as well. And I just thought about it. I was like, yeah, they could be spraying chemicals. They could also casting a big spell on the whole area.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you one thing about the chemtrails is I remember specifically in that recent eclipse that just happened, the solar eclipse.
Hmm.
For some reason, on that day over my city when the eclipse was happening, the
Hmm.
spraying and dusting they did was on another level. They like covered the whole sky to the point where you could almost barely even see the thing. And I
Oh my
thought this can't
God.
be a coincidence. You guys are trying to hide the eclipse from us? What's going
Yeah,
on
or
here?
something weird.
Right.
It's like, or it could be like in the magic world, they use some kind of a mana in order to do the incantation. So I think the chemtrails are the mana for the spell. It could be like it's just a way. Okay, you know about Sam Garens, right?
Of course, very
Yeah,
familiar with the brother.
yeah. His work's brilliant. And
Yeah.
you said something that, which I also agree with you, that he thinks jinns are some commanders, some evil commanders, right?
Well,
So
no, he believes in demons, but he thinks that when the word jinn appears in the Quran, many times it's referring to human rulers. He does
yeah,
believe in demons, though, but I think every time God uses the word jinn, it is exclusively referring to this separate race of beings.
yeah. Okay, so Arabic has roots which are three letters.
Yeah.
But the primary Arabic used to have two letters. But in when you see the root of jinn, right, it comes from the word concealed, because
Yeah,
God even
yeah.
says that when your moms were pregnant, you were concealed. Like the word is used over
That
there.
same root.
Same root
Yeah.
is used over there. So then, how come he comes to that uh, notion of them being some generals? Because they're not concealed, are they?
Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
firstly say that, of course, I love the brother and I respect all the
yeah.
things that he's done. But I think personally, on that matter, he has a certain understanding of the world geopolitically. And I don't necessarily disagree with this. Of course, there are rulers, there are followers. This is just how
Yeah.
people are, right? But I think he takes that and he somewhat puts it into the Quran a little bit with his translation. And also, I think there's a specific passage that kind of throws people off and makes them think jinns might be some kind of human. And it's specifically the verse which says something about, oh yeah, that the believers, when they enter the garden, paradise, that they will receive, wives whom neither man nor jinn have touched.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
That's the one that makes people
yeah.
think, because obviously jinns aren't sleeping with humans out here, so what's going on?
Yeah,
And
this,
when I wrote my essay on the jinn, it occurred to me, I'm like, what this is talking about is um, human men who go to the garden, they will have wives that human men have not touched, and
yeah,
and male jinns when they go to the garden, because they'll be
yeah,
judged, they'll go to
yeah,
hell in garden.
yeah.
When they go to the garden, they'll have female jinn wives that jinns have not touched, virgin jinns.
Mhm.
That's what it's talking about there. It's not talking about human and jinns commingling. That's the
Uh,
meaning of it.
when Igor was live yesterday, he put another thing in my mind when he was discussing about Hurul Ain, because he said the word Ain comes from spring. So he said if Ain means eye or eyes, he said it should be Ainun. So he said that maybe, because I also believe that when we'll be there in that place, we will look something else, and
Yeah, yeah.
everything would look something else. So maybe this Hur is some kind of a creature we have no idea what it is. And the Hadith people are making it. They kind of sexualize the religion so heavily. That's why
Yeah.
I felt it. I was like, oh, you just hold on yourself till you die and then you explode yourself. That's how it is. It's like
Yeah,
you hold
yeah.
down and then you release yourself. So it doesn't make sense to me in that way.
Yeah, like there's that one passage in the Quran. I'm honestly, I'm not sure what the real translation of that word is. I forget
Yeah.
what the word is, but the one that's translated as maidens with swelling breasts. I don't believe that's the
No,
proper
because that's what
translation.
I'm
There's
saying.
no way. There's
These
no way.
Arabs,
That's
they messed up with the Arabic 1,000 years ago. They did something to it, literally. It's like
yeah.
even the word salah. It's just like when I was talking to my mom because she still like does namaz. She's like beta, and she keeps telling me beta namaz, namaz, namaz. I'm like yeah, yeah, don't worry, don't
Namaz
worry.
paro beta, huh?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's all I get to hear. And I kept telling her, but they're locked in that bias kind of thing that they just can't switch. So what I was gonna say to you is that okay, what is your understanding about demonic possession in the light of the Quran, not the Hadith, because the Hadith has a whole business called Ruqyah Center. You know what I'm saying? Now that
Yeah.
could be legitimate, but I want to know if they are reciting some duas which are not from the Quran, which sound good in what they mean, but they are from the Hadith, and they are making the jinns run away. Is that possible?
I personally don't. Well, it depends. It depends because the dua, it doesn't have to be exactly from the Quran as long as it's according to the Quranic
Oh yeah,
principles.
yeah.
I don't think any of us pray always exactly what the Quran says. It's according to the principles. So it
Yes.
would really, it depends on the dua that they're doing. If the dua has shirk behind it, then there's no power at all. But if it is a legitimate, faithful, monotheistic, pure prayer, then certainly I believe that by the leave of the Lord, it has the power to cast out evil spirits. Definitely.
Yeah, of course, of course. So, what do you think about obviously the Jal concept is flawed because it doesn't belong to
It's
the Quran.
non-existent. It's
But
non-existent.
but the Yajuj Majuj is real because Allah talks about it.
Yes.
So, do you
Yes.
think the end time, whatever that's going to happen at the end time, before the end times, are they linked with it? Is their Barzakh going to break, or has it
Yeah.
broken already?
God says the barrier will pass away, but I don't know if we can really ascertain whether that's happened or that's going to happen because at one point, maybe not even too long ago, 8, 10 months ago, I was convinced that this is the end times, this is the last days, but I've sort of rewinded on that. I don't know. I don't because God makes it very clear that when the end comes, it will come unexpectedly.
Yeah,
So
suddenly.
when these things come to unfold, all the very few things that God does talk about in the Quran about eschatology, I don't think there's any way we could fully know that because then we would expect the end to be coming, which would
Exactly,
defeat the
exactly.
surprise.
Yeah, that then it won't mean a surprise at all.
That's
Yeah,
what I mean.
exactly. So I had so many things I wanted to ask you, but they kind of slipped away. But anyways, what is your take on? Okay, so now as we know that the world of the jinns, it is right here on Earth, right?
Yeah, they
So
have their own spot on
so
the
is
earth.
it like a
Yeah.
parallel dimension, or are they actually residing in the same spot that I'm sitting or you're sitting?
No, because if you look at that word in the Quran, when God says ghaib, unseen,
Yeah, yeah.
unseen, you
Hmm.
can't see them, it doesn't mean necessarily like a ghost, he's
Hmm.
here beside me right now, but I
Hmm.
can't see
Hmm.
him.
Hmm.
The way God uses that word, it's specifically, he says they can see you from a place that you can't see them. So the example I give in my essay on Jinn is not necessarily, don't think of like a ghost who's sitting on your lap right now you can't see, but rather think of like a long range sniper. You could
Hmm.
theoretically see him if he came to your face, but he just has you at a vantage point that you can't catch him. That's really how the Jinn are. They see us from a spot that we can't see them. So they
That's
have some special place on the earth, and somehow they're able to channel their thoughts and their whispers and provocations into our heart. And I think about this; it's very amazing. These are quite powerful creatures. Think about Satan in particular. Satan is able to whisper in the hearts of millions of people every single day without even coming near them. He's a very old and very powerful being. Doesn't mean we should be afraid of him. God is
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
all
of
powerful,
course. Because
but
but
he,
Allah talks about him as Adul Mubin means he's a very formidable enemy.
yeah,
And, and
exactly.
and the Hadith literature kind of makes him look like, oh, he's some pesky boy, just kick him off. But
Yeah,
no,
yeah. When he gets the opportunity, he pees in your ear, then he farts and runs away. That's
yeah,
not how this guy is. one of the most sophisticated beings to ever exist, and he has been around for a long. He has, he specifically asked God, God, give me time until the day of judgment, and God extended his time. He gave him a long life. This guy has been alive for the entire history of humanity. He's been studying us. He knows how we are. And he's able to whisper in every single one of our hearts. He's an ancient being. So he's not like this farting, peeing, goofball dummy. No, like he's got his own like CIA. He's got his own secret agents. He has a whole hierarchy of demons that are working for him.
Okay, you reminded me something amazing. Okay, when back in the day in 2006 and 2008, I was in Pakistan and I was like just enjoying life, and we came across a documentary called The Arrivals, if you know about that, made by Arkiaga and Noriega and something Arkinar, and Sheikh Imran Hussain was in there as well.
Okay.
Talking about something. So, anyways, they were talking about energies and how, like, every place has an energy, and that's why they make domes and minarets, and churches have got those domes and all of these structures.
Yeah. They model them for a specific reason, and it's because they make these churches to have corollaries to the heavens and the earth, and it has a certain, I should say, energy towards it. I would say so. Yeah.
Because I did some because, like I told you, when I came to UK, I started feeling things which I've never felt, and then I came to an understanding of how things are working. So there was something called biogeometry. This guy Ibrahim Karim came up with in Egypt, and it's been 50 years. So he's like the founder of that science. So he says that he was telling public about something. He was like, when in Egypt, there's a big temple in Luxor, it's like a pyramid or something. Okay?
Yeah.
So inside the temple, when the Christians, like, they spread out, they made a church right in the middle of that place, right? And then once the Muslims came, they didn't demolish that church. They made a mosque right next to it. So he said that, well, if they have differences, why are they doing the same? Like, they are building it on the same spot.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So then he said that basically that is a power spot, and they could feel it. And, well, anyways, this is a different subject. But my question after this is, do you think this Mecca, this box, and all that stuff here, is that a power spot? Because I think that's what it is. Because when people go there, they look at it, they get magnetized. I've been to Umrah. I looked at it, I was like, wow, what is this? And I felt something. It could be that my belief is doing something, releasing chemicals.
They can say it's placebo or whatever.
No, but I literally believe there is something there, which is not based on the Quranic stuff. It's actually something happening there. And there's a guy called Umar Zaid. Do you know about Umar Zaid? Dr. Umar Zaid?
No.
I went on his channel, and through there I got onto the Quran alone. And so basically, Dr. Umar Zaid was given an interview to some guy called Umar Baloch in some Sunni guy in America. And he was asking him questions about, because he used to be an occultist and he became a Muslim 20 years ago. So he was talking about Freemasonry and stuff. And then he instantly changed gears, and he said, oh, do you know about the clock tower they made right outside the Masjid al-Haram with the crescent moon on top?
With the moon, yeah, I know that one. I know that one because the place where I work, there's one office I clean. I'm a cleaner in a school. They have a statue of that clock tower, and there's a moon on top of it. Yeah, I know.
So basically, he was saying, and I agree with him, because he was saying that is not a crescent moon. That is actually the horns of the devil. Right in front. And he said, just imagine, what does that look like? He said, it looks like the Big Ben. The Big Ben in London. Now, what does Big Ben mean? Big Ben means the big Jew. Bin Laden, Ben Affleck. That's how the Jews use the words.
Okay.
So this was kind of coinciding with the Hadith literature. But then he said something very astounding. And I was like, he said that when the Fatimids stole the Hajar Aswad, that meteorite, for 30 years, they actually returned little pieces of it, and the rest of it is in amulets in the priest and priestess of their religion, which is the religion of the black cube, the cult of Saturn.
Okay.
I'm talking about. What's your take on this?
Well, firstly, I want to go back to what you were saying about the churches, how they build them with domes and everything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
So, and you know, you're asking me like, is there any significance to this?
Yes.
So, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept. It's called sympathetic magic.
No.
Sympathetic magic. So, one example of this, and this is something the occult and the unseen, you know, the people who dabble in the unseen, they
Yeah.
understand this. So, things that are like, things that are similar in appearance, they bear some kind of correlation, some kind of unseen connection. So, if you think about the evil voodoo, like witch doctor type of person, right? If I wanted to hurt you and I was a voodoo person, I would make a doll that
Oh,
looks
oh,
like
yeah.
you, and then I would stick pins in it or throw it in the fire. And because the theory is that because it bears some correlation to you, it connects that towards you, that type of energy, right?
Okay, okay.
So when they build these churches and these mosques and they model them after the heavens and the earth, they model them. There is some kind of spiritual significance and ethereal qualities that it has. They try to model it after the shape of the earth,
Okay, they actually,
make a connection.
yeah, yeah, like this. Basically, I think they're trying to make Marwa, the Marwa mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Marwa mountain. Okay, so what do you think? Like what I said, what that guy said, Umar said that the priest and the priestess are actually wearing the pieces of that stone which is housed there, and through that they are casting spells on everybody that's coming doing the whatever pilgrims that they do. What do you?
Yeah, it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility, certainly
Yeah.
not, because I mean, these people they have collected this unseen knowledge for who knows how many hundreds of years, thousands of years, and on top of that, even if like for example we have in the Quran of where God says that certain of the jinn they try to listen into the heavenly assembly of
Yeah,
God,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then God
And they
God
get
sends after
tossed.
them. Yeah, he says, you know, a bayyina flame, a clear flame, he sends
Yeah.
after them, and then it sends them away. But he says they snatch a fragment, and then God sends after them a fire. So
Mhm.
these people, they have been in contact with those jinns, and that little bit of
Yep,
unseen
yep,
knowledge
yep.
they get, you know, they try to get it from the jinns, you know, that they're trying to hear from the heavenly assembly. It's a massive matrix going on. Them trying to listen in, the people trying to contact those jinn to get that knowledge.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if this has something to do with that unseen knowledge, God knows best, but it could be, you know, these certain types of stones and things they have, these rituals, carrying them on them, right? The occult, they have amassed knowledge from these jinns for a very long time.
There's a guy called Roger Mornua. He had an interview. I think it's still on YouTube. And the guy used to be in Canada, and he became part of the occult. And then they were into seances and stuff. And then he basically was chosen for like demon worship and stuff. So they used to go to a place, and they had paintings and stuff. And very interesting interview. And he said when I used to go to the basement in one room, there were a lot of typewriters and typing, and I could hear from outside when he got in. There's just one man standing in the middle of the room, and all the typewriters are typing without nobody. Ta, 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 and that was crazy. I was like, wow. So I think these guys are like literally completely like mixed up with all of the high official everything, and they're like taking the charge basically and deceiving us on a big level. They're using
Yeah.
media. They're using media in all sorts. Like, oh, I don't have knowledge about this, but in your view, when did this first scientific like space kind of a thing came out? Like after they went to the moon, or they
Yeah, well,
actually?
that okay. So what happened was in, if I'm not mistaken, it was I maybe don't remember this perfectly because I wrote so long ago, but I think it was 1969. They did their first moon mission, right?
Yeah, yeah.
From the decade preceding that, all the way up to that point, from 1960 to 1969, they were just pumping space propaganda on the average American citizen. So
Yeah.
space, you know, science fiction, everything was about space. Space astronauts on the kids' lunch boxes, you know,
Yes,
all these
yes,
comic
yes.
strips. They were priming people. Then, you know, I think it was 1968, a year before they released 2001: A Space Odyssey,
Oh
right?
wow, yeah, yeah, that movie.
Right before. So what they were doing was Stanley Kubrick. He was practicing building a set which looks believably in space, so then he can employ that in the moon landing later on, right? They were priming the American public and the world really to seeing space on the big screen because they knew they were going to do this moon landing. And yeah, that's really what it was before. Space wasn't as interesting until they started shoving that propaganda down people's throat. Then 1969, obviously, it blew up because they went to the moon. Greatest accomplishment in the history of mankind.
Yeah. So, when was the globe first designed to be set on the tables? You know, the
Well,
globe that's
the globe has been around for a very long time.
so then
But
how come the globe is there? Like they went in space and they said, oh, now we have got pictures. Okay.
yeah,
But
it's proven.
before that, you're saying it's a long time ago. So how were they implying that idea? That, oh, it's a
Well, this is something I also talk about in my book, is that the globe Earth, it has been around for a long time, not as long as the flat Earth. The flat Earth has been there since the beginning, but it has not arisen from scientific inquiry. The globe Earth and the people who peddled it from the ancient world, it's always been philosophers. People who are up in their head and imagining all kinds of things of what they think the world should be like. So, for example, Plato posited the theory that the Earth was a globe. It wasn't based on any scientific evidence. It was based on his own theological presuppositions that God is a sphere because a sphere is the perfect shape, and he wanted to, because God is not a jealous God, he wanted to make the world just like himself, so he made the world into a sphere. Then Aristotle, his student, received that. He believed the Earth was a globe. You had the Pythagoreans, and this goes all the way through. The globe Earth has always been philosophy and occult theology from the beginning. So it does go back.
okay. So they were kind of having debate at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that, like, what do you call it, Stoic era, the Stoic era.
Yeah, it was even the pre-Socratics all the way to the era of Plato. They were talking about the globe Earth, but they weren't talking about it based on scientific terms. They were talking about it based on philosophy. Why it would be harmonious and perfect and proper for the Earth to be a globe and all this kind of thing.
Okay, do you know about Mercator, the Mercator
Yeah,
map?
yeah, I know the
Yeah,
Mercator.
yeah. Okay, so do you think anybody has actually gone to the wall? Like, obviously they haven't lived. I'm sure in this era it's not possible because now you got surveillance everywhere. They'll know you're going there. Plus, you don't have the technology. You can't buy a big ship and just go there.
No, an expedition towards the south obviously requires lots of planning, lots of gear. It requires, a really good ship. It requires wireless communication and all these things that they're going to find out. There's no way you can hide this from them,
Yeah, but
right?
do you know about BlackRock, Blackstone, Peter Peterson, that biggest company that
Yeah,
owns
yeah,
everything? So
yeah,
and I didn't know about any of this. Igor has explained it to us.
yeah.
They go on a pilgrim. They go on a pilgrim every year, and like it's kind of strange because just imagine all the top-notch executives of that company, rich people, they're going for a vacation to ice, to snow, like to the
There's
cold.
nothing to see there according to their model.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because if that malakut that Allah says that we showed Ibrahim alayhi salam, the malakut, right? So I think that malakut is like a place which is actually like a sci-fi movie. Like, you go see it, you'll be like, oh my God. Then if you see that, then you can't deny God's existence. That, oh my
Yeah, that's the thing. What the Quran says about this place, Masjid al-Haram and the Mother
yeah,
of Cities,
yeah,
this
Quran.
place, it's something which, if you were to see it, God says that turn your direction towards Masjid al-Haram so that
Yeah,
they will not have any argument against you. So it's some place where you see it and there's no way of denying, okay, God is real, the Quran is
yeah.
true, judgment is going to happen. And I'll tell you one thing, you don't get that from Mecca. That idol people worship in that place called Mecca today, there's nothing where people would look at it and say, oh wow, 100% God exists. It looks like another cult item from the ancient
Yeah,
world.
it's a
Another idol.
it's a box idol. It doesn't look like an idol, doesn't have a face or anything, but it is something that they're worshiping
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
these people, they have obsessions with boxes in particular. So you have the Kaaba, right? They have this box that they go around. Then you have as well the Jews, they have the tefillin, they put that thing on their head,
Yes,
right? When
yes,
they do the
yes.
worship. And then even if you look at the Christian cross, a cross is just a cube
It's
opened
a
up.
cube. Yes, yes. When you shut it down, it's a cube, actually.
Yeah.
So basically, I think the cult of Saturn, whatever that is, the worshipping of the black cube. Do you think it's fertility magic? Because you know that shape that in which that stone is, the design of it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it looks like a female anatomy.
And no woman can dare go there. Only men go and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kiss it and lick it, whatever. So it's kind of like strange and like because the Hindus they're doing the same kind of thing. They have Shiva lingam and then Parvati is like the female. So they
Yeah, they
in
have this
their
goddess concept.
yeah in their understanding is like they're connecting Mother Earth to Sky God. Some weird kind of thing.
Yeah, but you know, the pagans when they talk about these kinds of things, it is based in some truth. For example, God, you know, this idea of Mother Earth,
Mhm.
God does speak of the earth in the Quran like she's female. The earth is female. That we do know. Because God talks about when he speaks about her, he
Al
speaks about
Ard.
her like,
You're
yeah,
saying Al Ard.
yeah, the earth, ard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when God speaks about her, he talks about her like she's almost a pregnant woman, like when she delivers her burden. And God even refers to her as a her, right? And the heavens is the male on top. It's a male figure. So if you
So
think of
this
like, for
is
example,
this this
yeah,
is like
she's like a fertile womb in the heavens. It emits the seed, and then she gives birth. You know, she in the some sense the earth was like the mother of Adam. You know, God even talks about the belly of the earth, the button, the
yeah
navel of the
yeah
earth,
botany ha
right?
botany ha yeah
So
exactly.
she has fertility, she gives birth, she lays out her burden, she produces as a woman would, and then the heavens over top that gives the seed which allows her to produce from. God says he created everything in pairs, and even the heaven and earth they're a wedded pair of masculine and feminine.
Now I'm gonna take you back to a little memory of what I shared before. When I was doing psychedelics, right? When I was doing LSD, mushrooms, and all of that, I was. It's not that I was becoming an atheist. I was becoming more God conscious, but I was leaving all of this religion. I was like, no, 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 no. This just. But then I was in a very confusion. I was like, if this is kind of showing me somewhat of the truth, then I was like, how come God and everything would be according to what these guys are saying? And that, like when they say that, oh, according to the Hadith religion, a Muslim is in a prison. Life is a prison. You know what I mean? It's like they're
Yeah.
saying, oh, just shut everything off and just walk a straight line.
It's this OCD religion.
It is, it is. So
Yeah, you're trapped.
very much, very much. In psychedelics, literally, I'm not joking. There is a concept of what they talk about Mother Earth, but you kind of feel it as well. I'm not joking. It's like it's like you feel vibrations of everything, and the Earth is like a very nourishing kind of a body. But then at the same time, some entity can come and impersonate as Mother Earth as well. Like a female
Yeah.
something would come and be like, I'm Mother Earth. So that's
Yeah.
how in all of these psychedelic trips that people are having and they're saying, oh, I met this deity, I met that deity. Yeah, maybe that deity exists, or maybe that deity is some sort of a jinn, something,
A shaitan.
al ifrit or something like
Yeah.
impersonating as something that they might think. So this kind of validates that everybody on earth is feeling the essence of God, but in their own understanding, they just can't kind of interpolate it
Yeah.
because they
One
haven't read
thing,
the Quran. They haven't read the Quran
yeah.
how what it's saying, and like they haven't felt it.
Yeah, God gives us this. I mean, you don't need to go into psychedelics to learn this because you have to remember that God gives us this whatever is appropriate for us, but He gives us this unseen knowledge in the Quran. He gives it
Yes,
to us. If we, I understand people can maybe learn some of these things when experiencing experimenting with these psychedelic drugs, but at the same time you're opening yourself up to all kinds of demonic attack as well. It just
guaranteed,
turns on that channel where they can just connect with you, right? So if you
guaranteed.
really want that unseen knowledge in a sober and calm state, just read that Quran. God gives you everything
Yeah.
you need to know. And one thing I want to specifically say on the heaven and the earth being a male and female wedded together, even
Mhm.
if you look, their genesis, their origin, not only are they male and female married together, they bear correlations with us too. So, like I said before, the heavens, it gives the emission, then the earth, she has a fertility. On top of that, if you read what God says about the creation of Adam, God says he created Adam, and then from his mate. So he created the male first, then he pulled out the female. So she was made secondary.
Like
And
a
the same thing
fractal.
with,
Like a
yeah,
fractal.
and exactly, a lesser fractal. And you can even see with the heavens and the earth, they were joined together and God split them apart. Just like male and female, they were joined together and split
Wow.
apart.
Wow, that's like the yin and yang.
Yeah, they exactly. You can even think of just like the male. Obviously, both have their value, but the male is, in a sense, the more nobler creation of God, right? He has a higher status before the Lord. It's the same thing like the heavens. The heavens is nobler than the earth, right?
Of
People have
course.
always known this, the heavenly realm, the high realm. It's masculine. God even speaks about it. He says, God created 7 strong ones. He talks about the heavens like it's male. So there's a whole balance and order to this world, which the occult, they learn about these things, but we already know about this in the Quran. We don't need to experiment with jinns and psychedelics. God gives us that knowledge right away.
That's true.
We
Okay,
just have to
so
study the Quran closely.
very true. So it's been like 4 months and I've got into this whole Quran alone understanding and I've started researching and studying. Now,
Yeah,
like I'm a lot of confused and I because you've been doing this for a bit, right? So I want to
yeah.
ask you, how do you do like there's a concept in traditional Islam called istikhara. You know what that is?
Istihara. Yeah.
When
I just
you
explain
ask
to my audience in case they might not
Okay,
know.
okay. Istikhara is like istikhara means that you ask God for something, because it's like you want an answer for or like a solution for something, and you've got a choice out of two. So in their concept, it's like you do like a 2 rakat nafil namaz, like you pray 2 rakats, and then you will get a feeling that, oh, this is what God wants to give you. Some beliefs, they say, oh, you sleep and you get a dream. So in
Okay.
if a Quran alone person is lost in the middle of nowhere, like as in life, not in a jungle, maybe in a jungle too,
Okay.
what procedure should that person adapt in order to get straight communication with, because I think I'm sure God doesn't communicate with us in that way like how he did to Moses, but I'm
Yeah.
sure God communicates with everybody, and because he's helped me times I can't even count.
Of
Yeah.
course, me too.
So
Me too. Things that you cannot chalk up to coincidence.
what do you think is the method, is a good method, as in like your aspect of it?
Well, firstly, I want to preface this by saying if there's a very good talk you can check out, and people on my channel, your channel, can check out.
Yeah.
It's a discussion that the brothers at a channel called Endgame Islam.
Okay.
They're Quran alone brothers, and they had a discussion with Jerry Marzinski, and it was about demonology and demons. And to cut the big story short, essentially, what the guy was saying, Jerry Marzinski, is that God, when He speaks to you, other than the prophets had a different type of connection with God, right? They heard His voice directly. But when God is speaking to regular people like us, or let's say He's helping us or the angels are helping us, it's usually through intuition, serendipity, good fortune, good luck. But when these demons are communicating with you, it's usually through very clear-cut commands. So kill that person, rob that person, do that. When you hear a clear command in an audible voice in your head, that's usually a shaitan. That's nothing to do
Obviously.
with God. God will speak to you through and help you through intuition. He'll just lead you, like you just think, nah, I don't think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, the sixth
I don't, I
sense.
feel the sixth sense. I feel off about it. That's not right. Right? And how do we connect with God when we are lost in this world? What you got to do is purify yourself, fast, pray, purge out any unnecessary wicked thoughts. So you lusting over women, clean up the diet, eat good food to the best of your ability, have good thoughts, and just focus in on God, pray, and I promise you He will give you the answers you're looking for. He will lead, but it won't be a voice, God telling you do this or do that. He will just lead you in the right direction that you need to go. It starts with purification. So, like, one thing, this is an example I give about Christianity, is I think Christianity is a religion which is largely based on demonic possession. I think these Christians are channeling demons. I have no doubt about it, in fact, and I have Quranic evidence for this. And these Christians will talk about, oh, I was doing drugs, I was sleeping around with all these different women and doing this and doing that, then suddenly I heard the voice of Jesus and everything changed. And my thought is, okay, you were living a sinful life. You were living an evil life, and then suddenly you heard the voice of Jesus. Do you not think that your sins might have opened you up to demonic voices in your head, and that's not Jesus?
Like, come
The,
on. I've heard stuff on Asif, right? I've heard people, hey, hey. All of that stuff that happened to me.
Yeah, yeah, even you get things like sleep paralysis, all kinds of weird experiences. But if you really want to quote unquote hear God, and you're not going to hear his voice, but if you want the deep, subtle guidance of God, it doesn't come from living a sinner's life, it comes from living a purified life and turning to him. Then he will help you. Undoubtedly. You just got to have faith. This is another thing that I think about often is that there's a huge element of faith in it. Faith. We don't hear God, but you just know he's leading you in the right direction. And it requires the most masculine, the most strong men to have that kind of fortitude in their belief, you know?
That's true. That's true. Also, strong women. Well, let's not.
Yeah, strong women,
Yeah, let's
100%.
not
Women should
count
be
them out.
strong as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
women should be strong as well, of course, in the faith. But this having faith and trust in a voice you can't hear, but just knowing that he's leading you in the right direction. There's something so inspirational about that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. When you said that, it just kind of reminded me when Allah says that He is not going to forgive shirk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when a person is doing drugs and all of that, he's dirty, but he's not doing the dirtiest thing. Is that accepting that God had a son? So you're getting
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Saying
So
God has a
Jesus is
son and
like,
all these
"Oh,
things.
come on, come on, come here to the big party."
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
You know, you can even say, it might be crazy for people to think this, but somebody who murders a child, and these are evil things, they will take you to hell, no doubt. It's terrible, and I don't justify it, but
Yeah.
it's not as bad as somebody who does shirk, who associates a partner with God. That is the worst sin, because all these things that you can do, killing somebody, murdering, robbing, taking interest, bad stuff, these are all sins against the creation, but there's only one sin against the creator, and that's either denying him or ascribing a partnership. Same thing. Either
So
kufr or shirk.
for sure. So in your
Yeah.
understanding, when you've read the Quran, what do you think God is talking about when he's talking about shirk? Is he talking about idol worshipping, or is he talking about changing his law and ascribing
Well,
law to him, which is
the,
not?
the shirk, this is something that I've actually written down. I want to go through the entire Quran, see every time it mentions shirk, so I have a full picture of what God is talking about. But what I see is that it has a broader purview than just bowing down towards a statue. Worship is not just bowing down to a statue, it's who you look to for your primary protection, what you look for safety, for feelings of security. That's your God. That's what you worship. So many people, they look towards their job security, they look towards their home, they look towards their wealth, their savings account, they look towards, just all kinds of things. And they think these things will save them. But these are all associate partners that you've given with God,
For
right?
sure.
Because and God can use all these things as instruments to help you, your money, your savings, your house, to protect you, but you have to look to God first. It's ideological primarily. So, shirk is that's the best way I would define it. The thing you worship is a thing you look to as your final protection and safety in this life and the hereafter. So when Christians, they call Jesus God, they think Jesus is going to save them. That's shirk. You're thinking
Yeah.
that somebody else is going to save you, right?
So, like for example, if a person is like, "Oh, let me wear my jacket because it's raining, because the jacket will save him from getting wet," that's not shirk.
No, no,
In
no.
in the most
Well, if
baseline thing.
yeah, like if I say, well, I understand that. Let's say, okay, I don't want to get wet and get sick, and I know, okay, sickness will happen if God wills for me to be sick. But God has given me this jacket. I'm going to wear it and do the best on my end to try to not get sick. But ultimately, I look to God to protect me, and I pray. I don't forget God. I don't only look at the jacket and think the jacket is going to save me from being sick. I have to look to God first in everything,
That makes
and then
sense.
you use the instruments He gave me.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what do you think about now? This is a very controversial word, salah,
Yeah,
salat.
yeah.
What do
It's
you
a
think
deep
about?
concept.
What do you think about it in your view? What do you think it is?
I'm satisfied with Brother Sam Garen's definition, whether you want to call it duty or
Hmm.
commitments or obligations. Very clearly, salat has a broad purview in the Quran. It's used in so many instances, in so many contexts. It has to be some kind of a relatively abstract concept, which is given concreteness by the context, right?
Yeah.
So, like it definitely is some kind of higher order concept like duty or obligations, commitments. That's how I see it. Now, we can talk about specific salats, like, God talks about the middle salat, what that is, or you can talk about, God says to wash yourselves before the salat, what those specific salats are. But salat as a whole, I think it has to be something broad.
Because I saw this guy, a video, I forgot his channel name, but he said, when there's this ayah, وَأَقِيمَ الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ. So he was saying that وَأَقِيمَ الصَّلَاةَ means like you establish or you get ready for your duty, and then you pay your zakah, which is a charity, and you bow with the people that bow. So he was showing in the video that everybody that gives charity bows down to the person who's sitting. I was like, wow, that's a very good explanation, but that's that's not very solid in the broader aspect. Because it does make sense that when you're giving charity, you bow down because the guy's sitting. He's miserable.
Yeah,
He's like,
well, yeah, you lower yourself.
yeah. So in
Yeah.
that context, yeah, salah becomes duty, but salah could also be like a contribution. Like, for instance, the Medina constitution, that when the Prophet went to Medina,
Yeah.
and they said, okay, fine, we're going to take care of you, and you are going to govern our system because we take you as a leader. And then they
Yeah.
made the constitution, right? They made all the points what's going to happen, and in the whole thing, brother, they haven't mentioned one masjid or one anything like that. They just mention this person helped this one, you helped this one, you set up this one, you maintain this one. It was all communal acceptance and duties relating to everybody, the Jews,
Yeah.
Christians, whoever that was there.
Yeah, I consider, I'm just going to get my charger because my
Yeah, sure.
battery is dying. But yeah, I consider this, even this conversation and the books that I've written and all these things as part of my salat towards God.
Exactly. That covers up the whole broader aspect of it. Uh,
Because God, since I was young, I've always had an ability to communicate, to speak, to write. I've always had an affinity towards these things, and I wanted to use those abilities to serve my Lord and further the cause of truth. I consider that as part of my salat. Is it my whole salat? No, but it is definitely a part of it.
okay, so in your understanding, because I still haven't come to this point, because I literally 3 months ago when I got to all of this, when I agreed, okay, fine, this is right, because in the first month I was like, these guys could be Qadiani or this or that, and they kind of try and like divert me off right path. So
Right.
now, then I emptied my cup. I was like, nah. I need to relearn everything. And then I started relearning everything, and I was very happy because a lot of things that I wanted to do in life, God doesn't prohibit them at all. It's these guys who want to control us. They just want to keep hammering us and like, don't speak, don't speak, just do this, do this,
Yeah.
do this. And you will get your 72 women and all the party in hell. You'll have a whole river of alcohol. Like, come on, it's like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
kind
You
of
get to,
it's like human
yeah, have a
desires.
rave in Jannah.
Yeah, it's like everybody's popping a pill or something. I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
like, yeah, everything you missed out on here, you get to do 10 times more in Jannah for all eternity.
Exactly. It's like, what's the difference? So people are like, oh, I can't wait. Let me just do it here. So that's what
Yeah.
people are doing. So, oh, whenever you want to go, you can go, by the way. I just
No,
don't.
no, I'm good. I'm good on time. Today's my day
Okay.
off. I'm good to go.
Okay. What other question was popping up? Because from question, every question is popping. Ah, yeah. Okay. Now, according to how Igor says, like he's brought on a new understanding of the Quran, right? And it kind
Yeah.
of makes sense. It makes sense, and it kind of enables the fantasy as well, which all of these guys have done to us since Hollywood and all of them. They planted these things in our brain, and we all kind of fantasize that, oh, some fantasy would be, or like people generally, when they're watching cartoons and movies and stuff, in the subconscious mind doesn't know that we're watching a screen. So subconscious mind literally thinks that we are there. It's like when you're
Yeah.
watching Avatar, you are at that place called Pandora. You're in like an alien
You're
world.
fully, yeah, you're fully inside of it pretty much.
Exactly. So uh, um, when they're doing all of this, right? It kind of makes like a traditional Muslim rebel. It does, because when the threshold reaches, now they're like, ah, no, this can't be, and then they kind of leave everything. So what do you think these ex-Muslims are leaving is the traditional Islam is because they haven't come across all of this information about the Quran, not about the
Yeah.
Quran specific.
That's the thing, that the vast majority of people who leave this faith, they leave because of the staleness of the Sunni religion. They were taught that their creator, all he expects of them is these mindless rituals in a language and concept they don't understand at all. And naturally nobody's going to be interested in that. They weren't taught the spiritual richness of the Quranic tradition. They were not taught the heroism of the prophets and the kind of exemplary virtues they showed and how we are to adopt those in our life. They weren't taught. I wasn't taught this as a kid, and I don't blame my parents, right? My dad didn't really care of these things. My mom, she's my mom. She can't really teach me all this. How important religiosity and spirituality is in the life of a man, how intimately tied it is to their masculinity. They're not taught these kinds of things. So naturally, they're going to leave because it's just this OCD ritual thing. It's this kind of annoying burden in their life.
It's like a loop.
Yeah.
So, what is your take on dreams? As in, what does the Quran talk about dreams? Except Hazrat Yusuf, what does it talk about dreams?
It's dreams are amazing, amazing. It's a channel towards the unseen, but it's a rather chaotic channel because sometimes it can be something from God, as in the case of that prophet, and sometimes, many times, it can be demons channeling you, coming into you and giving you all kinds of provocations. So you'll even get, Christians will say, I saw Jesus in a dream or whatever, right? Even I have, if you want to listen to it, I have some very interesting stories regarding dreams, which were undoubtedly from God, undoubtedly dreams that have saved my life.
Okay, like
So yeah, I'll let you.
like a deja vu.
Yeah, no, no, no. So I'll get So basically, I'm sure many of the people on you watch my channel, they've noticed the scars on my face and on my
Yeah,
arm and
yeah,
my
yeah,
leg.
yeah.
I have scars all over my body. So I used to, when I was about 4 to 6 months old, I had a really, really deadly disease called meningococcal. Nearly killed me, right? And I don't remember it, but
Was it like
obviously,
a bacterial infection?
yeah, it's some kind of viral.
Because
Who even
it's
knows?
because
Who even knows how
I'm
true that
into
stuff
these
is?
kind of things, and I provide people with remedies that science can't provide them actually. So it's all with
Yeah,
herbs and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, whether it's viral, and I have a whole problem with the way they teach how disease originates. But, somehow this illness formed within me, and it was life-threatening. And essentially what happened was my mom, the night when all these spots came on me, so you can see all over my arm, they were like reddish, purplish blue.
Oh.
And the night they came on me, I was a baby in my crib, and my mom, she had a dream essentially saying, one of her friends was shaking her in the dream saying, your son is dying, your son is dying. And then she wakes up and she sees me. I'm sick in the crib. I have all these strange marks all over me. And, eventually after talking with my dad for a bit, she decides to take me to the hospital just out of a hunch. My dad says, oh, kids get sick all the time when they're young. It's not a big deal. And it happens. Kids get sick. But she's like, no, 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 I want to take him to the hospital. She takes me to the hospital in the middle of the night. And then the doctors see me. And then pretty much instantly they take me away and say, we don't know if he's going to survive or not. Right? So like that was a dream. Somehow her friend was shaking her, saying, "Your son is dying. Your son is dying." And she wakes up and sees her son sick and decides to take him to somebody who will care for him. Right? That can't be from Satan. That's obviously from God.
Of course,
Right?
it was a signal.
Yeah, and it's what's interesting is that friend who my mom, and she's never forgot that dream. My mom, obviously, and that friend who my mom dreamed about, who was shaking her, saying, "Your son is dying. Your son is dying." She also had a dream involving my mom, a kind of strange dream which she never forgot as well. Of like, it's hard to describe, but there was like this weird kind of monster around her. It hit her with its tail, and then she kind of like, I think she said she fell beside a grave, and the grave was empty. She saw like nobody was dead, nobody's dying today. So like just the fact that they both had these dreams coinciding with each other, and it just happened to be the thing that inspired her to take me to the hospital. So dreams are a very, very interesting phenomenon where the unseen can channel towards you, whether it's God or jinns.
I basically I get very strange dreams. It all depends upon where I am. But like if I'm in a place where there's too many chemicals or like something that I can't detox while sleeping. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna prolong my sleep, and I get like a recurring sort of a dream, like the same sort of area, but I see almost everybody in life. I might even see you in a dream now
Really?
that I've spoken to you, but they always come to me and like I'm not sure who is coming to me, but they always come to me. They say to me stuff that I like you might come in my dream, say something which I haven't told you. You know what I mean. So there's always
Yeah.
some kind of demonic thing involved. But 2 3 times what's happened to me, these have been happening in the UK, not in Pakistan. Pakistan was very calm. So what happened to me 2 3 times is like some kind of a thing is going to come and chase me or try to grab me, take me someplace, and then I'll start reciting Ayatul Kursi or something, and they will
Yeah.
just back off. So then, and at that same moment, I'm gonna wake up and I'm sweating, and then I'll know, oh, this was some shaitan, because
Yeah.
because because I started reciting, and he's like, okay, leave me. So
Yeah, it's
what do
it's
you?
it's it's incredible because even me, I've had this it's strange thing about me. Whenever I would have bad dreams when I was a kid, nightmares, I would have the dream, and obviously I would wake up like somebody's killing me or hurting me or whatever. I wake up in the middle of the night. When I'd go back to sleep, the dream would continue from where it left
Yes, it
off. Have you
happens to
ever
me
had
a lot.
that?
It happens to me a lot.
Yeah, I jump right back into that bad situation. It just continues and it happens over and over every time I wake up. I just jump back into that bad dream. But now it doesn't happen because now I say, I seek refuge in God from the accursed shaitan. And I
Yeah,
ask God, please protect me from their provocations and whispers. I don't get that kind of stuff. God protects
that's
me.
good. Alhamdulillah. What is your take on people that are doing astral projection and stuff?
Hmm.
Out of body experiences and stuff,
Out of
especially
body.
in sleep paralysis. Is it like a demonic possession at that point?
I think so. I don't think there's any credibility to this astral projection stuff because again, any knowledge of the unseen that pertains to us, God has given us in the Quran. You trying to either take drugs or sleep or meditate in a certain way that's going to make quote unquote your soul leave your body, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know how much I necessarily believe in that concept, but and you're floating around. Even if you hear people, they talk about their experience astral projecting. They say that I was flying from galaxy to galaxy and going from planet to planet. So it's it seems to cater to their vain desires. And obviously, we know galaxies and these things, they don't exist. Outer space
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
exist. But they talk about themselves like we're interdimensional traveling beings.
So
I saw the universe.
that means when the astral project, because look, CIA has a team of remote viewers, and a lot of renowned people that have stopped being with them and have kind of debunked them, not debunked them, like kind of did disclosure on them. They used to do astral projection. So when they're astral projecting, their mind is taking them somewhere because they're going to a galaxy or a universe that they perceive.
That's the
They're
thing.
not going to
Yeah.
a real place. So, what do you think, like in your understanding, like how you said that Shaitan has got such a technology that he can literally connect to every heart while being at one place? Because he's not
Yes.
Allah, he's not God, he's not Allah. He can't do that. Like how Allah can actually hear everybody and like close to everybody. He's not
Yeah.
that. He's sitting on some rock or someplace, sitting on Siratul Mustaqim, and he's got his
Yeah.
device connected, and he's like, yo, yo, yo.
He's plugging in somehow.
So wow,
He's
that's
plugging in. The thing is, it's obviously hard to speculate on these things, but we do have some example of that with our cell phones and wireless technology. This
mm,
is al-ghaib.
oof,
Humanity,
yeah,
we don't understand this stuff. We know how to use it and to employ it to a certain extent for our purposes, phone calls and whatnot. We can build these devices, but let's be real, we don't understand how this stuff works. This like just the fact that think about it. Um, you're in the UK right now. I'm in Ontario, Canada.
yeah,
Somehow my face and my voice is traveling pretty much instantly through my walls
yeah,
across a massive ocean towards you. My voice is being carried towards you. Something is transmitting that information. And it's not like I can't see anything leaving my computer.
yeah,
This is knowledge related to the unseen. So
of
I
course.
would imagine, God knows best, but I would think that the shaitans and the jinns, they communicate to our heart in a similar manner. We are getting a taste of the functions they use to get into us and provoke us with this unseen technology. I think this stuff is honestly from the shaitan.
This is crazy because
This is
okay,
magic. It's sorcery. It's sorcery.
I've got something. But then again, like, look, whatever the Ruqyah material is there is from the Hadith, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
use the Quran ayats of the Quran as well. There's the verses, but they use a lot of the Hadith stuff. So the thing is, they say that when you recite the Quran, the jinns they burn. in the hadith, right? Now,
Yeah.
I heard somebody saying that the jinns are in an existence which is like a frequency planet, like a whole spectrum of frequencies, and they're like frequencies. Because the
Yeah.
Quran, because when you recite the Quran, you're actually creating reverberating a frequency.
Yeah, there is something, obviously the hadith and overemphasizes reading in Arabic, but there is something special about the Arabic and the sounds that God has chosen for this Quran. Certainly it has a unique beauty to it
Wow,
and quality.
you remind me something else. Okay, this
Resonance is the word I'm looking for.
in 2018, I was with a friend, and that friend, may Allah guide him, help him. He helped me a lot. He was a half Scottish, half Pakistani brother, and
Okay.
he used to tell me about Arabic and all of that. And I started reciting du'as and stuff, and I was getting close to God. And at that point, what happened to me while I was sick, bro, I used to every day, I used to get out of my house and I used to walk to this area, and I used to, now this is gonna sound strange. I used to make two
Yeah.
fat joints, right? And I used to
Okay.
listen to Surah Yasin in my headphones, not while smoking, but I'll smoke in order to clear up my breath and everything, because I live in a moldy area, if you know what mold is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I used to clear up, throw everything out, spit everything out. Then I used to listen to the Surah Yasin, and I used to get euphoria. I was like literally, I was started thinking to myself, oh my God, am I doing something wrong? Because I'm getting the same better effects, not same better effects when I'm taking a pill and I'm listening to some techno or trance. I'm getting better feelings from that. And then I met my friend and I literally got emotional and I started crying while I was talking to him about this, because he couldn't understand this. I was saying, listen, bro, if on the day of judgment, when we are up there somewhere, when we are all accumulated, will I be seeing like Allah written in Arabic, big, humongous, and like Allah's names and stuff? And he was like, why are you asking this? Because I said to him, listen, when I'm listening to Arabic language, it is hitting my organs. What, like, I was like, what the fuck is going on? I said, literally, I abused him. I was like, what's going on? And
Yeah.
I was got so emotional, I started crying. And he was just like, no, no, brother, like, I think this language is just for the dunya, but I think this language has got some connection with the human body, because the word,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the way Ain is, okay, I do some kind of a practice where I clear my lymphatic system without any medicine, okay? And you
Okay.
won't believe, in that practice, the word cough comes there. You know, al-qawi, al-qaha,
Qawi. Yeah.
the cough. When you say that cough, right, it touches that place where your lymphatic system, like when mold and bacteria, it blocks you there. Only this cough word can remove it. And
That's amazing.
I
Yeah.
was stunned. I was like, even, you know, ha, when you say hijara, hajj, you say ha.
Yeah.
When you do ha, it opens your chest, your lungs.
Yeah. It's not like a ha, it's ha ha.
Yeah,
It's
it's
deeper.
ha. It's like that. So it opens it interacts with the body like that. So I think this is a celestial language, and I think like even I'm not sure if Hazrat Adam spoke this, but I
I
think this language has,
I think Quranic Arabic is the central language of the world. I think it's the mother tongue, and every other language, Urdu, Punjabi,
yeah, they come
Slavic,
from something else.
yeah, you know, language professors they try to build these theories. We can obviously see there's a huge connection between like ancient Sanskrit all the way through Arabic, all the way through Germanic languages. This massive group of languages that have these huge connections with each other, and they make this theory about an Indo-European language, a Proto-Indo-European language, the mother of all these languages. So they all accept that there's a connection between these languages around the world, cultures that seemingly never even touched each other. But
Exactly.
I'm just saying Arabic is that root.
Yeah.
Quranic Arabic in particular, that is the mother tongue of the world.
Yeah, he was Igor today, not today, in his chapter 5 of the Makkah series, he was talking about this thing called Kun Lun, which is like the beginning of some from Jainism or something, and Kun Fayakun. You see,
Be.
so that these words and all these terminologies, even there is one thing called Altir, which means which could mean Tur Allah, or the Allah's mountain or something like that, which is in Germanic or something. So they all are kind of matching up. and they're
Yeah,
all
even you look, there's remnants of it even to this day. Ard, and then here we say earth in
yeah,
English.
exactly. And
Out
like
of the earth.
where did these English
Kufr,
people?
kufr, cover, kufr, cover.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Subhanallah.
Yeah.
So, what is your okay? I'm not gonna take too much of your time, but I'm gonna one two more things because I don't know when I'm gonna speak to you again. But what
No, no,
is
feel
your
free, feel free. I enjoy this a lot.
okay? Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So, what is your understanding about like how the world is shaping? Like, when they're saying that they're gonna bring World Economic Forum is gonna bring you will own nothing, but you'll be happy and all of that. Do you think all of that is gonna happen?
Well, first, before I just remembered something about the Arabic, I want to say that, then I'll
Yeah,
answer your
yeah, yeah,
question.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
just another example is Jannat al-Fardos, Farados, Faradas, Paradise,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Paradise,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's so many connections you can make.
Even in Hindu, there's something in the Hindu thing. There was something called paradesha, which means
Paradesha,
yeah, which means paradise. Same word.
right, exactly.
Beautiful, beautiful.
But yeah, so you're asking me if I think that they're going to accomplish this?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, these people, their desire ultimately is to be gods on the earth, to rule the earth like God. They try to mimic and parody God in a form of mockery. They'll never achieve that level that they wish to, but I do think that they will exercise a lot of control, definitely. I mean, even just look right now. If you think that it's impossible for them to like kind of completely control human life in that way, you will own nothing and you will be happy. I mean, just look what they've done already up till now. Kids, when pretty much straight when they come out of the womb, they inject them with all kinds of juices and put it, straight away, right? They
while
have
the
this level of control and power on an innocent, like virgin
yeah,
kid in a sense, like
true.
untouched, untampered. So if they're already doing that, they're aborting kids before they're born. They have that level of, their tentacles are that firm upon us. Don't think that they can't get very far with this new world order. They can.
Even
They already have.
when the mothers in labor, they inject the women at that like all of the look. I've been in health and basically I got sick with this thing and I couldn't heal myself. Like people had no idea what's going on, and then I started doing research, and then I found out that every single illness that we get, right, from a headache to cancer, it's all
Yeah.
because of these chemicals that they've made, and
Yeah.
all the
It's not
like
genetic. That's a total load of crap. Oh, it's your genes. So sorry, man. It's your genes, and you got the bad heart attack gene or the cancer gene. No, it's the chemicals.
how do you feel? Because I know you go into the woods and you do exercises there. Do you take your because you do make videos there, but have you ever been in a spot where you don't have your phone ever?
I've taken, yeah, a few times I've gone out without a phone just in the woods to
How
work
do you
out.
feel? How do you feel? Is it a difference?
Even whether my phone is there or not, but especially without the phone, but just going out away from these artificial paints and all this Wi-Fi
Yeah,
technology out in the woods, I feel fantastic working out.
yeah,
I feel
exactly.
so strong. It wakes me up in a way that nothing else does, and it's obvious because I'm getting into a more natural state.
What is your because I know 5G is basically like some kind of shaitan thing going on, right? But
Yeah, this stuff came from the Jinns.
what do you think about blockchain? Because I think blockchain is also from them.
Well, blockchain, if I remember correctly, it's the system that underpins cryptocurrencies, right?
Yeah, so I don't even understand what are they making money out of? They're making out of nothing. It doesn't
Nothing. Yeah,
exist.
yeah. That's something that I've thought about. So one thing I lack knowledge in is finances and financial markets, stock markets, cryptocurrency. It's just not my lane. I like
It's
studying
good.
flat
It's
Earth and the Quran, right?
that's better.
This stuff. Yeah, it's just like and I'm not saying it's wrong to know about that, but I'm just not that materialistically minded. I don't care for those things. But I find it
Mashallah.
interesting, like when I think of people, they're trading stocks, making millions or losing millions, trading cryptocurrencies, making millions or losing millions. What is this all based on? It's nothing.
Exactly.
It's just it's just an imagined concept which apparently has all this money behind it, but you know what I mean? A stock, what is a stock? It means nothing.
Exactly. It's not a physical thing that I can touch. It's not tangible at all.
It gives you no real value in your life. The, the,
Obviously.
the, the, what I've kind of boiled it down to is with the stock markets and, putting all the rigging and everything aside, the stock markets, the crypto markets, basically people are betting money on the movement of money. It's just like money moving around for money, because basically they're making their predictions for or against a stock or for or against a cryptocurrency. And the only purpose of that cryptocurrency or stock is the money it can get them in the future when they liquidate those assets, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
it's just like they're placing money on the movement of money. It's just like this inflated, meaningless economy.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's just like a rabbit hole that has no end.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, if I buy, I don't know, a sandwich, right? There's value there. Sandwich, eat it. It gives me nutrients and whatnot. But there's no value in crypto and stock markets. I've even asked. I have a family member who, he traded in this. He stopped now, but he traded in the stock market for a while. He made some good money, and I just asked him, what even is a stock? What is the inherent value behind this thing, which is causing millions of dollars to be moved around based on its name? And essentially, like, he had no answer. He couldn't explain it. It's a fake economy.
Obviously, it's like just like if I ask the hadith person that why do you have a hadith, they can't explain it. Because
Yeah.
when I ask them, oh, why do you have a hadith? They're like, oh, how will I learn how to pray and this and that? Then I simply tell them, when God didn't say something in this book, why do you want to do it? And then they're like,
Yeah.
oh, why they've been doing thousands of people. I'm like, come on, man. God, okay, a good question came in my head. You know the
Yeah.
word aksar, which in Urdu we say mostly. In Urdu means aksar means mostly, but in Arabic
Yeah.
it means majority. Aksaruhum.
Yeah.
What's your findings in the Quran about it?
The majority. Oh, yeah, the
Yeah,
majority of people.
but
If
yeah,
if you look, so they have a concept in the Sunni religion, not true Islam, the Sunni religion, that the majority of people basically can't be led astray. They have this concept of ijma,
ijma.
scholarly consensus,
Yep.
following them. This is specifically big with Sunnis because Shias are a minority.
Mm.
Sunnis, they'll say follow what the majority are doing. And all I would ask you to do is just read the Quran, look at every single time God mentions the majority or the masses or the lion's share of people. It is pretty much exclusively in a disparaging light. God is critical of people. Most people do not reason. They are deaf, dumb, and blind. They are astray. God says that, they follow only assumption. They tell only lies. And so this concept of following a massive ummah of millions and millions of people is just not in the Quran. The Quranic paradigm is always about a small group of people who understand the truth, who are passionate for their Lord, and they butt heads with the broader society. The broader society gives them difficulties. And we find the exact same concept even in the corrupt form they're in today in the Gospels. Look at Jesus. Did he have a massive church of millions of people? No. It was him and 12 people going from
That's
town to
it.
town, talking to people about God, getting rejected. And Jesus even says that broad is the way to destruction, but narrow is the way to life. This has
Exactly.
been, even in the Gospels in the corrupt form, they have this. This is the tradition of all the prophets. Except for very, very few cases, it's pretty much always about a minority of people who have the truth.
Subhanallah. Well put. Well put.
Thank you, brother.
What do you what do you think? My God, what the question? Yeah. Okay. What do you think about um, when the Hadith people they say that um, like look, when we trace back the way they've been praying namaz, right?
Yeah.
According to history, whatever the history is left, because a lot of it has been removed by these guys, it kind of implies that it has been conducted maybe 40, 50 years after the death of the prophet. They started doing it. The way
Yeah.
the way it's been traced by a lot of people, right? But this is
Yeah.
not something that the prophet did himself.
No, because he couldn't get on the knees and send greetings to himself. It's not
Exactly.
the same way
Very,
he's doing.
very
You're literally, by doing your prayer, you are not following the Sunnah of Muhammad. Even if you
exactly.
want to say there's no Sunnah of Muhammad in the Quran, it's only
Exactly.
Sunnat Allah,
Sunnatullah.
the
Yeah.
practice of God which does not change. But even if you want to say Sunnah of Muhammad, and there's actually another Sunnah, there's a Sunnah of the former peoples, the people who have been destroyed by
Yeah.
God,
Yes.
punished
Yes.
by God.
Yes.
But
Yes. Yes.
this is
Yes.
this can't be Muhammad's way because he didn't pray in that way.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So
So
and
like.
even if you look even in the hadith, so Obviously, they say, oh, how do you pray? You know, we need the hadith to know how to pray. Firstly, thank you for admitting that your religion doesn't come from the Quran. You can't find your prayer anywhere in there. You've admitted my point. But secondly, you won't even find a single hadith that tells them how to do their prayer the way they do. It's literally just tradition. You know, Shias do it a little different, Sunnis do it different. There's not one single hadith that says do it from, you know, read Surah Al-Fatiha all the way down to the end. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Yeah,
There's no even hadith tradition for that.
exactly. God says that remember me while standing, while sitting, while laying on your side, or something like that, right? So he's
Yeah.
trying to say, God is saying that remember me whenever you feel like, or whenever you should, like in
Yeah,
whatever way you can.
this is a way of saying basically remember God at every moment.
So, so,
Remember
so
God at every, yeah.
exactly. So, how I can see is like, for example, like Adam and Eve. Now they're like they've been taken out from wherever that place was, right? Now
Yeah.
they're here, they've got their children and stuff, and God has just told them that now live here. And then suddenly, slowly and gradually, Shaitan comes and he starts making religions for them. He's like, oh, this is a religion, this is a so basically God never told us to make a religion. God never,
No.
yeah, all of these rituals and this and that, do this, that will happen, this will happen. But maybe God talks about, does God talk about getting a sacrifice from somebody? Because how was Abel and Cain getting acceptance from God? Because Cain was like, I want to marry your sister, not mine. You remember what I'm talking about?
In the Bible?
No, in the Quran, when Hazrat Adam has two sons, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or is this story from Hadith as well?
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't say anything about them marrying.
Oh my
You're
God.
just,
Oh
yeah, it
my
doesn't say that in the Quran.
God.
It doesn't even mention their name, Qabil and Habil.
Oh my
It's
God.
just the two sons of Adam, unnamed.
I found this occult thing, and they were saying that Adam had three sons. One was Abel, one was Cain, and the third was called Nesferatu, which is like the prime vampire or some weird kind of story that I
That's,
was like, oh my God.
yeah.
So basically, Allah never said make a religion. When Allah says Deen al-Islam, Allah means that you basically follow my laws, which will make you a good human being, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you
He's given
pray.
us a recipe book. He's given us a guidebook. The Quran is, you know, and obviously, like I said, there is a beautiful quality to when you recite it in the Arabic and all that. But primarily, it's not a book of magic, of like casting spells
Yeah,
and
yeah,
warding
yeah,
off evil spirits. This is how, especially Pakistanis, you know,
yeah,
Malaysians,
yeah,
Indonesians, people who
yeah,
don't understand the Arabic, when
yeah.
they read it, they think of it as a book like incantations to ward off evil spirits. It's a recipe book. It's a guidebook. It's
Exactly.
instructional on how to live a purified life and to draw close to your Lord.
So in your understanding, if a person is following the law of God and not holding any partners with him, like as in not following anybody else's law and saying that this is God's law, if a person is living like that, the shaitan or the demons, they won't be able to get into his aura. Is that
No.
correct?
Yeah, even people from different traditions, even people who have maybe never heard of the Quran, this is a certain character of a human that God talks about. If you
Now I
notice,
get it.
God in the Quran, and we can get into a debate on Yahud and Nasara and what this really means. Just notice, and it's not Judaism and Christianity, that doesn't fit the context, but you notice God pretty much never in the Quran talks about religions. He exclusively talks about behaviors of people,
Yes.
behaviors of people. You know, the people who do this, do that, they reject, they believe, and I accept that there can be people who are protected and guided by God and submitted monotheists in every tradition around the world, in Christian countries, in Jewish countries, and whatever other place, that's fine. It's about, again, inclining towards God alone and following his law and striving to do good deeds. And that's not a cult. It's not a cultural thing.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
relating to the heart of a man.
Exactly. So basically, it's a very big fat bus size of a pill to swallow. That the Quran says that this is a book for the ones that have taqwa or like who reflect. Like people,
Yeah.
it's not for everybody. So when
For
people
the
are
God
saying
conscious, for the God conscious.
exactly, so when they say that oh Islam is the second growing religion, I don't think that's the Islam Quran is talking about. It's some kind of a
No.
branded thing.
God over and over, he says he hates when people say what they do not. God gives no value or credence to our self-identities. He judges us for our behaviors and the true temperament of our ideology, not our labels and our cultures. God doesn't care. How many times is God in the Quran speaking about races and ethnicities and religions? No, he speaks about your behavior.
So just imagine a very weird example came to me. For example, there's like a tribe of cannibals, and they know cannibalism as a good thing, and they do it. And amongst them, there are some evil cannibals, some very good cannibals. They even share their piece of human meat to somebody as, oh, you take more. You know what I'm saying? Like genuine people.
Yeah.
If that
Yeah.
genuine person dies and he's like doing salah, but he's eating humans, and he doesn't know it's haram because Allah says the blood of a human is not good for you. You can't eat the meat of your brother, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Would he be considered a Muslim? Like something that Allah accepts him as in, I know it's a weird question. It requires a fatwa or something.
Yeah, my thoughts on this is, firstly, obviously we say God knows best. You know,
Yeah.
God even said, even Muhammad says in the Quran, he doesn't know where he's going, and he's a prophet of God. So cannibal is a completely different story.
Yeah.
But I will say that according to the Quran, legally speaking, you enter a different geography once you're warned. God punishes people and holds them accountable after they've received the message. So if I go to that cannibal guy and I let him know, hey, God has forbidden this. You are not to eat the flesh of your dead brother. You're not to eat the flesh of people. And then he goes, that's a completely different field. But God does talk about people in ignorance. He even says about the prophet, we found thee astray and guided thee. So there's a different legal matrix you're in depending on whether you receive the warning of God or whether you're in ignorance. Even God talks about the wives of the prophets. He said, don't make a display of yourself as in the former time of ignorance. So God knows how they were dressing before they received Islam, before they received the Quran. But God is merciful towards those who have a sincere heart and inclined towards Him, but they just haven't had ample opportunity to receive a clear message.
What is your take on, there's something called Azab al-Qabr, means the punishment of the grave,
Yeah,
according to
yeah.
traditional. What is the Quran talk about it?
God doesn't say anything about that in the Quran. According to the Quran, when you die, you go to sleep. You're asleep in the dust of the earth and you're awaiting the resurrection. God even says in the Quran, canst thou make the dead here? You can't make the dead here. So this whole idea of Azab al-Qabr is contradictory to the Quran. It's just hadith and storytelling.
Yeah, because most of the Hadith literature is full of this, like these fantasy stories, and they're like, oh my God, it's so detailed that people are fallen for these fables and they love them. That's why they're
Yeah, yeah.
Muslim. That's why they're like, oh wow, this and that. Okay,
It's very entertaining to talk about these things,
oh,
all these crazy things about the end times, Dajjal and Mahdi and this and that, and then the Azab al-Qabr. People love storytelling, but God says for us to not speak on things we have no knowledge of.
exactly. I've spent years doing research on the Dajjal, and then I got into the occult and all of these things, and then I found out that it's all some kind of BS. It doesn't even exist.
Yeah, yeah,
So they kind of made a show over a show in order to keep us so busy. And people are thinking that, oh, some bad guy is coming, but they have no idea the bad guys are already here doing everything wrong in the
the
first place.
bad guy is not coming. The bad guy is already here. His name is
Yeah,
Shaitan. He's provoking you right now. Okay,
exactly.
you don't need to wait for this Dajjal to come. Shaitan is provoking you at this moment.
True, true. Because the Jal means deceiver, and in the Quran, the deceiver is shaitan.
The word in Arabic is ghurur, right?
Yeah,
Ghurur, yeah, that's Shaitan. He's the
yeah,
deceiver.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Don't let the deceiver deceive you about God. Don't worry about the Dajjal, worry about Shaitan.
What kind of a message you'd like to give to Pakistani, Asian people, Asian Muslims, as in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh?
Yeah, other than, yeah, Arabs, I would just say, you know, please do not associate this religion which traumatizes so many people. I mean, for those of you who don't have a Pakistani background, there are people who make so much money teaching others how to recite the Quran in Arabic. There are people who will literally beat kids to death because they don't pronounce ah correctly or
Yes,
ayn correctly, right?
yes.
It's very, very bad. These abusive teachers, they'll just brutalize these kids. All this garbage that you've seen in the name of Islam, what a damn shame. Don't associate it with the Quran. I ask you, Pick up your Quran in English or Urdu or Punjabi or whatever other language that is closest to you, and read it slowly and carefully, and don't feel like you need to rely on these men to guide you and hold your hand through it. Pray to God for guidance, and read the Quran based on its own terms, and you will see that God teaches a beautiful, uncontestable, undebatable faith which has nothing to do with the degeneracy that's been associated with it. So that would be my biggest recommendation. Read the Quran in your own language.
Okay, so like when I was doing some research, don't you think they should be using a lot of lexicons in order to go into the roots?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because when you
Well,
say,
and another thing I want to say quickly
yeah,
about that is no translation is perfect. There's issues in all kinds of translations. Even as I see certain issues in Brother Sam Garen's translation, and I have great respect for that,
yeah.
right? Like, for example, the issue of Jinn. I disagree with him on that. But no translation as of yet is perfect. So what I would recommend to people is when you read the Quran, you're probably going to see contradictions and discrepancies, not in the Quran, but in the translation, maybe the tajma, maybe, certain commentaries, maybe certain preconceived notions you've had. Those difficult portions, I'd say put them aside, put those things aside, just think maybe it's an error in you, maybe it's a presupposition, maybe it's a bad translation, and just focus on the basics. You can't, even with the worst translation, like Halali and Khan, just the most insane, like hadith translation, you still can't miss the basic emphasis of the Quran, what God is calling our attention to. So I would just say focus on the basics, the reoccurring motifs, and put aside any of the little difficult parts.
Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. There's a thought I had that day that if people get onto the Quran and they reject all the Hadith material, a lot of jobs will be lost. Like the Masjid
Yeah,
Imam,
a lot of people have to get a real job.
The Ruqyah people, the Quran, the Quran teaching people, I don't know, a lot of jobs, mate.
There's a whole industry, a whole business based on the Quran.
Bro,
It said, no, not on the Quran, but on this religion which
on the
claims to own the
Hadith.
Quran.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they will have to work and like they'll have to sweat. So basically, that's why a lot of people are like doing their best. Like you did an amazing job when you dissected Mr. Muhammad Ali, Muslim
Yeah.
lantern.
Yes.
Baba Sharif call him the Mushrik lantern.
Yeah.
May
I
Allah.
call him the Hadith and Lantern.
And that guy, I just don't understand. He's an Arab. It's your language, and he can't understand that when they say Atiyullah, Atiyo Rasul, they're talking about spoils of war. Read the whole story. They take one sentence, they're like, oh, look what they're saying. How stupid is that?
Yeah,
So,
because really, understanding doesn't necessarily come from a language. It comes from being open-minded and being able to reevaluate your interpretations and your thoughts. It's not about knowing a language. Look at Christians, man. There are Christians who know Koine Greek. They know these biblical languages, scholars, but they still can't get this Trinity thing out of their mind, and it's taught nowhere in the Bible. Understanding is not based on what language you know. It's based on being able to engage with the text on its own merit and be honest with what it says. And very few people have that ability.
so how many times have you done the outside masjid protest? Those are really
Mm.
amazing videos.
Yeah, I've done it like, I don't know, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And then I stopped doing my street preaching for a while because I kept encountering these Christians who want to debate me. So I put that aside. I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a book dealing with these Christians.
Yeah,
So this way,
I
if they ever
downloaded
come
it.
to me,
I
yeah. So
downloaded it.
yeah, please do. Thank you. And it's just whenever they come to me, I don't want to deal with it on a one-to-one basis. I can just say one or two things and send them the link. Say, here's my book dealing with Christianity. I've already refuted it. It's done. It's
Yeah.
obvious the Quran is objectively speaking a superior scripture. So I took a break from public street preaching for a while because of that project. Now that that's done, as of yesterday, praise God, all thanks goes to God. Now I'm going to, I want to fast, I want to draw close to God for a bit, then I'm going to continue doing that more. I want to go to the masjids, do street preaching, go to the churches. Because that's what I see. I know people might think that as ballsy and gutsy and crazy, but that is the Quranic mission, man. You look
Bro,
at the messengers, they say, oh my people, oh my people. That's what I'm trying to do.
I saw you and I was like, oh my God, this can't be happening. And you, wow, because it like Subhanallah, if you do this in Pakistan, they'll put you on the cross. They'll put crucify.
Yeah.
They'll be
But
like, oh,
here I have an opportunity in a country which has some idea of freedom of speech. I
yeah,
have an opportunity to do that, you know?
exactly. When they can have gay parades and all of that stuff. So
Why
Anything?
can't I be out talking about God in the scriptures when literally guys can walk with their male appendage, their member hanging out of their pants, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
parading in the streets with wigs on,
Yeah, sad. Obviously,
right?
obviously. Yeah, of course, of course. Everybody should have a right to do all of that. But like,
And here's
have you ever been
the
stalked by these people? That they're like, oh, let me just go get him in a corner or something.
yeah. I've gotten a few times they want to fight me. It's usually the younger like guys in their early 20s and teenagers.
The
These
zealous ones.
yeah, these young Arabs. They think I'm Arabs and sometimes even Pakistanis too. They think I'm trying to fight their culture or I'm insulting their culture or something. They have a very emotional connection to the symbols and motifs of this religion. So when I'm just kindly, calmly calling them to question, they want to start fighting with me. So yeah, I've had a few, and praise God, God has protected me every single one of those moments, and I don't back down. I don't show I'm afraid because Muslims, we don't fear anyone. I only fear God, and I stand my ground, and God has protected me every single time. I think one time, one of my brothers, even the brothers in the faith who was with me in those mosque protests, I think he noticed back when we were out in Calgary, there was a car following him around for a while. He didn't know who was in there or what was going on, but yeah, we've had some weird experiences of aggression and people following us.
May Allah protect you guys.
I'm not afraid of no one. I'm only afraid of God. You guys need to fear. You guys need to
Exactly.
fear.
Have you come across any Christian flat earthers?
Quite a few. Yeah. That was the thing that spurred me on to write that book. Christians who agree with me on a lot, at least in the geopolitical space, the New World Order and
Yeah,
all these
yeah.
things, COVID being a hoax and the flat earth, but they're pushing their Jesus shirk on me. So that's why I want to write that book.
Yeah,
They're like,
because
"Oh yeah, bro, you understand the truth. You're such a smart guy. You know about the flat Earth. You know about the New World Order. You just you gotta accept Jesus in your heart, man. You gotta like." I kept
yeah,
coming across these guys out in Calgary when I was doing that street preaching.
it's strange because they'll what I think personally is that they genuinely are kind of they're thinking that we're gonna burn in hell, so they want to protect us, or they want to save us. But what I see, like what Allah says in the Quran, that they're doing it and they know it. So I think a lot of the people, they know what they're doing and they're like, oh, we already, it's like a gang.
Yeah.
We can't leave. Like they'll kill us.
The shaitan makes their deeds fair to them, but they know every Christian who worships, he says, in the name of Jesus, amen. He knows he has put a partner alongside God. That is another name alongside the Creator that you have ascribed divinity to. Everybody knows that. And there's no excuses on Judgment Day. Okay? They know.
Another thing. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
You said amen. Okay. Now my question to you is the word Ameen in the Quran or not?
No, I don't see it
So
anywhere in
when
the Quran.
everybody say, when people are like, or recite a dua and they say Ameen, or like even in the in the namaz, they recite Surah Al-Fatiha and everybody's like Ameen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because Amin and Amen is from, like, what the occultists say, comes from Amen Ra, like from the Egyptian thing.
They say
Amin.
Aman Ra.
Yeah.
I've also heard, I think I don't know if this is true, but it comes from the same word as Amana, believe. So people are
Okay,
saying,
okay.
we believe or we accept, amen, we accept, we believe, kind of thing,
Mm.
right? And, what I would say is God knows the heart of, for example, I'll say the word God in English. I talk about God. God is the word for the creator in English. Who in the world decided to call the creator of the heavens and the earth the word dog backwards? That sounds very evil and messed up. But at the same time, God knows that many people use this word God and they still worship him in genuineness and sincerity. They mean no insult at all. Many people, they end their prayers, a genuine prayer in Amin. God tests the heart of a man. He knows what spirit that person is coming from, and whether they're just ignorant of where that word comes from or not. But like I said, God, he looks at the character of an individual.
How much do you think that? Because I've heard people saying that God actually doesn't interfere in the affairs of man, as in generally, like he lets them do whatever they're doing, right?
Yeah,
But if but does he actually, like, for example, there's a man who's about to go and plant a bomb somewhere.
yeah.
Would he sometimes when he feels like in his majesty, however suits him, will he stop him?
If God wills to. if
Yeah,
God
but
wills to, right? So
yeah.
like I'll give you. So remember, this has this person who's going to go plant a bomb in a hospital.
Mm.
This has a history behind it. So there's a shaitan that provoked him to doing those things. And go do that, put that bomb in that hospital. And God already knew that that shaitan was going to go provoke him and do that thing, and that he was going to go. God allowed for it to happen for a certain reason.
Mm.
Whether there was an evildoer in there that God wanted to allow to perish, whether God wanted to let that guy sin, the bomber, so that he can get more sins for himself and go into hellfire. Whatever the case is, God, everything happens either by the will or permission of God. God has given in the creation a certain level of freedom. We have a choice. We can choose good or bad, and God has allowed us to have that choice, but it's always within his matrix of control. We can never thwart his plan. So, for
Exactly.
example, let's say you know, let's say you were in that hospital and somebody wanted to plant a bomb, and God wants to protect you because you're one of his genuine believers. At that point, God might put something in the way of that person, so he can't put that bomb in the hospital. It's all by the will of God and within the plan of him.
Okay.
God says in the Quran, they plan and God plans, and God is the best of planners.
Okay, the old previous civilizations, they've seen God miracles, like the miracles that would like make them be like, oh, that's not possible, that kind of thing. We have not. So
Yeah.
does God still does those kind of miracles to us?
Well, I mean, if we can find this place in Mecca, according to what Brother Igor said, it's a miraculous place unlike anything we've seen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would say that the miracles are all around us. You just have to see and take a look. Just look at, like, I was just watching a video yesterday of um, some guy. He takes a seed out of like a red hot chili pepper. He puts it in the ground. Think about it. This one chili pepper, one seed from that chili pepper has the ability to make a whole tree which produces hundreds of more chili peppers. That is a miracle. Use your
Exactly.
brain. Oh, God doesn't show me any miracles. There's miracles all
Yeah,
around
because
you. Look
God
at the
says,
hummingbird.
yeah,
Look at the rain. It comes down, and it brings life back to a dead earth. We're in the springtime right now. Spring is, cosmically speaking, the new year. We're seeing the resurrecting of the earth. Her fertility is showing. The miracles are all around you, but God calls them deaf, dumb, and blind. They don't see them.
very true, very true.
We can't go to God on Judgment Day and say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see you." The signs were all around you and inside of you. The miracles were everywhere, and that's why God says on that day, there will be no denying the justice of God. Nobody will say, "Oh, God, this is unfair." Everybody will accept their fate because they know they deserve where they're going.
So the place where a person when he dies and the place when we dream, are they the same places?
Do you mean like
Like when we're going to some dimension in our sleep, and the people that have like left from this place, are they there as well? Because a lot of people they meet, like my cousin, her mom died, and then after a week she saw her in a dream. And then according to science, they'd be like, oh, that's like a remnant of the signature of the energy in this. Are they actually going where we're going in the dreams?
well, in that specific case, I don't think so. I don't think we can meet dead people. Like that has to be some kind of provocation or whatever. You're not
Could be like
meeting
an
that person.
imposter. Could be an imposter as well.
Yeah, because God makes it clear you can't make the dead hear. The dead don't hear. She can't communicate with some dead relative or person that she knew.
No, but
However,
another
with
thing, and sorry, but
yeah,
when
go
you
ahead, go ahead.
but when you sleep, you're dead as well. And Allah says,
That's
I bring you back to life.
yeah, that's the thing. Our
I think it's a
I want to be
possibility. I think it's
I want to be careful with the words I use, but sleep is like a prototype of death. And waking up is a prototype of the resurrection. When we sleep and wake up, we're seeing the death, burial, and resurrection of ourselves before
every
God
day,
on
every
Judgment
day,
Day.
every day.
Right? So this goes back to what I said. People talk about, oh, where are the miracles? That's a miracle in and of itself as well. And, it's, I just don't think we can communicate with the dead. Because when God, let's say God were to end my life right now, I drop dead, my chapter in this life is over. I don't exert any influence in this life. God has written the last chapter in my life. And there's no way I can go ahead and influence other people and loved ones later on. It doesn't make sense to me. My story is over. You know what I mean? At least for now, until the resurrection.
I'm just gonna end up with two more questions because it's been 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so I heard this one guy. He was talking about the singularity. When the
Yeah.
scientists say singularity caused the
Yeah.
Big Bang to happen and all of that. Well, I don't think there's any Big Bangs anymore
Yeah.
because
Are you talking
that's
the singularity, like the merging of man and machine?
no,
Or the
no, that's the singularity they're talking about. That's gonna come. But when
Okay, okay.
singularity, as in when Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, when Allah is As-Samad. You know what As-Samad means?
Remind me again?
From Surah Al-Ikhlas. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad. Allah is one
Yeah, God is one. Yeah.
and He is As-Samad. Now I don't know what the actual definition of that is, but the guy was saying that that is the singularity that these guys are talking about. The one that caused everything to happen. Well, not exactly, but do you think that what does that refer to?
Well, let me pull up the
Yeah,
verse
pull it
right
up, pull
now.
it up, pull it up. Because my actual main question from this is that do you know about the double slit experiment?
Yeah.
So are electrons actually conscious? And
I don't believe in electrons. I don't believe in particles. I
oh
think that's
yeah,
just
oh
a made
yeah,
up abstraction. The fundamental structure of our world is not particles moving through space. It's ether. It's waves, energies.
okay. So so basically when they said that light is so they're lying in your opinion.
It could be lying, and it's also there's a certain reason why they stick to this particle theory. It's partly to do with their pride. They want to feel like they can quantify and understand the universe with their knowledge and their humanism and scientism. We can put the universe into this little bag of marbles and count it and understand it perfectly. Really, they don't want to acknowledge that this is beyond comprehension, beyond even counting. There's no numerical value we can put to the universe. But this idea of an electron, it's just, let's be real, it's just made up metaphysics. It's nonsense. If there was this light bulb in my room, if there was really electron particles shooting out of it, as soon as I turn the light bulb on, it would just break into a million pieces because the particles are coming outside of it. There's no particles there.
Yeah. You're very right.
Yeah.
Because I am a very sensitive sort of an individual. Because if there was some kind of a phenomena like that, I could feel it. But I do feel sound waves. I feel energetic waves. If I play like I do sound healing. So if I play 10,000 hertz, right? I can't
Yeah.
hear it in the whole room. I can hear it in like a ray, like a beam. So I have to
Okay.
literally position my ear in order to hear it.
Okay.
So you're right. Energy is like always transferring in waves, like sine waves and all. But the
It's
electrons it's like a hypothetical assumption. I don't think anybody can
yeah.
see an electron in a microscope.
No, they can't see it, and nobody has ever claimed to see an electron. They literally tell you it's impossible to see. It's useful for their experiments in the sense that it gives them numbers to play with and work
It's
with
like
when
a
they're
basis. It's like a basis
yeah,
to start with.
it helps them. The best example I can give you is think of waves elapsing on the shore of some beach. Okay, let's say I had the task of counting the waves. Now, in reality, there's no point where one wave ends and another begins. It's all just merged together. But I
Exactly.
can, just to make things easy, I can say, hey, that's one wave, that's another wave, that's a third wave. Pragmatically speaking, I can say that. So they use this electron theory pragmatically. It works, it helps them. You have to quantify things in order to be able to work with them in real life. But they have to understand that their quantifications are not really based in reality. It's not really one wave, a second wave. It's all blended together. It's the same thing. It's not one electron, second electrons. It's just a wave.
Yeah, but how are they doing the chemical equations when they're balancing if you've done chemistry, if you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. When
Yeah.
they have an equation, like for salt, sodium chloride, NaCl plus
Yeah.
H2SO4, that will make hydrochloric sulfide something. So like that will break into this, and the numbers will shift as well. Like water is H2O,
Yeah.
and so like that number, these numbers, how are they getting these numbers then?
Well, how it goes through trial and error, and then they abstract a theory out of that trial and error. So again, I have no problem with counting matter because it helps us work with things. But
Yeah.
just we have to understand that the universe is not fundamentally quantum; it's waves. But what they'll do is so like they have not seen two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom and seen, okay, this is what makes a water
Exactly.
molecule. That's just a cartoon. Just these balls that they draw. It's just a
True, true,
cartoon.
true,
What
true.
what they have is they understand the ratios. So they have like, you know, two times the hydrogen to half the oxygen, and that makes water. And then they abstract this theory of this is what the molecules look like when we really, really make it as small as possible. But they all they've done is understand the ratios of how things work. But the particles are not there. Nobody's seen them.
Subhanallah, brother, that was amazing.
Do
I
you
would let
understand that explanation? Did I make it clear enough?
Yeah, it did, it did,
Okay.
it did. In a very like non-scientific layman term, amazing explanation because that is how you can perceive it. It's perceivable.
Yeah.
You can't perceive something that doesn't even exist here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like another example I'll give you is, let's say, what's you? Does anybody? I guess my followers might not know. You know Ruafsa, the
Yeah,
drink.
yeah. I used to drink it back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't drink it now. I don't recommend you drink it. It's not good
No,
for you. But it's
neither. It's fake.
yeah, it's all synthetic. But let's just think it's basically this red syrup. You put it in water or milk, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
tastes pretty good. And think about so if I know to kind of give you an example, if I know that 1 cup of water with 2 teaspoons of ruah afsa will produce a light red drink,
Yeah.
right? I know that proportion. So 1 cup to 2 teaspoons. I can make it way, way smaller. So half a cup to 1 teaspoon.
Yeah.
And they just keep shrinking it down theoretically. And then they imagine this unseen world of when you just have one little a particle of ruah afsa and one little particle of water. They just play with the ratios, but they've never actually seen that particle. All I have in front of me is ruah afsa and water. All I have in front of me is a bunch of hydrogen and a bunch of oxygen. And when I combine
Oh,
them together in this way, it makes water.
it's like Lego blocks miniature versions.
Yeah,
Like
they imagine what it would be like when we shrunk it down. But they've never seen when you shrink it down to those particles.
that is so crazy. But brother, subhanallah, I'm very impressed by mashallah the way you think, and I wish people of your age are doing the same thing. Trust me.
Thank you so much, brother. You as well. You as well. May God bless you. You're an open-minded thinker, and I'm thankful that God brought you to the truth of Quran alone.
Thank you very much. Still have a lot of questions, but I'll take it to next time because I want you. I would like to get back to my life and you as well.
Okay, Lord willing, yeah, we can do this another time for sure.
Inshallah, inshallah. So, are you gonna send me a copy?
Yeah, yeah, I'll send you.
Okay,
We can,
brother.
yeah, you can go over it, and once we both approve, then we can put it on our channel.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take little snippets and I'm gonna make different, depending on what question is going on, what topic is going on.
Perfect, no problem.
Salam to you. Take care of
All
yourself.
right, wa alaikum salam. Peace be upon you.
Speak to you soon, inshallah.
Inshallah, take care.
You too. Allah Hafiz.